Hi y'all, I'm Tanya.
And I'm Lee.
We are co-hosts of the I Want to Believe podcast.
Join us for new episodes every Sunday night where we discuss all things paranormal and unsolved.
If you love all things spooky or just want to listen to two geeks talk about ghosts, this is the podcast for you.
You can find us on Audioboom,
iTunes,
Google Play,
Stitcher, and more.
Stay spooky!
1, 2, 3.
So, yeah, in our Pathfinder game that we're playing, we had fought our way through hell last game. In this game, we'd come back to the island that had the portal to hell on it. And when we came back through, a demon had escaped and killed everybody on the island, left the native animals out and killed all the humanoids.
Right.
Well, we took over the island and it became our island. But all of us were scarred through our journey through hell, so we got to tell our little story and what had been happening for the past couple of weeks while we had adapted this island. Well, I've been harassing David since the beginning about wanting to be a werewolf because there's werewolves in this land. So he gave me a headband that allows me to not only turn into a wolf once per day, but to shoot a cone of cold out of my mouth once
So you
per
have like a lycanthropy headband.
Yes.
This is very 1980s.
Yes, it only cost me an arm, literally.
Oh. So wait, let's go back to this island. So you guys straight up 1%ed an island, right?
No.
Well, how did you get
we
this
ground
island?
scored the island.
You ever just been walking around and saw a $20 bill laid on the ground with nobody around it?
Uh-huh.
That's now your $20 bill.
Oh.
This island is now theirs due to large death.
Oh, so ground scoring is playground rules.
The ground scoring is carny talk for finding money on the ground.
Oh. Nice.
I just want to know is that David, as he regretted turning you undead because he didn't look up all what comes with it.
He did.
Did he look up everything about werewolfing?
Well, he did look up.
Werewolfing.
He
Yeah,
did
we're
regret
We're making words today, bro.
He did regret the undeady thing because it made me too powerful. So
Right.
we completely retracted all of that. But then
So he didn't stack you as an undead werewolf.
No.
Frostmancer.
with 4 arms, it can with 4 arms.
3 arms.
What was
Yeah,
the
3
word?
now.
Ground scoring?
Yeah.
Somebody did that to my car once. I was really upset.
They found your car on the ground and just decided it was theirs.
Yeah.
That's called
That's
called
called-
Grand Theft Auto.
That's called
Oh, wait. Yeah, you're right. You're
that's
right.
called six packing. There was a
Carjacking.
movie back in the 80s called Six Pack, and it was a Kenny Rogers movie where he was a race car driver. I'm not making this up. This is real. And he had
Can't
six,
make this up.
yeah, he had 6 children. It's a horrible movie. Go watch it. But they would steal the stuff that they needed. They
I'm
would
sold.
steal the stuff they needed because he didn't have a sponsor or whatever, if I'm remembering it right.
Yeah.
So we kind of invented this term called six packing, where if we stole something, it was six pack.
Well, if we learned nothing from Kenny Rogers, it was when to hold them and when to fold them.
When to walk away and when to run.
Yeah.
And you never count your money while you're sitting at the table.
Well, and he didn't walk or run. He just stole the car and sped the fuck off.
You guys remember that time whenever he gave the riddle of steel on the movie? It was pretty exciting, right?
3-man podcast.
Jesus. Do we want to do, let's just do this
Let's
podcast.
do a podcast.
Yeah, let's do a podcast. Hey, everybody out there in Radio Land. Welcome back to another episode of the Southern Fried Geekery Podcast. And if my math served me right, which it might not because I was raised in Arkansas, but this is episode 38, I think, as far as the official
I
episode
can't
goes.
answer that because it's not on my deal. It says episode dash.
I'll see on mine it says 38.
Yeah. Well, you have a more updated version than the one you sent me this morning.
I rigged the system. It's okay. We ran out of fingers and toes to count a long time ago. So
I can get to 21, but I have to drop my pants.
that's a thing. Speaking of dicks, they're gonna come to play later. But first, we want to invite you guys to come join us on our Twitter, our Instagram, and our Facebook pages. Have a lot of fun on those. It's great to kind of reach out and talk to the people who listen to our show, talk to people who don't listen to our show, just kind of build a community. It's a lot of fun. By chance, this is your first time listening to the show. Welcome to the Southern Fried Geekery Podcast. We're glad you're here. Thank you. Thank you for listening to the show.
If the intro didn't scare you away.
Right, yeah, hopefully. I mean, we
If
had
you're still here, you've earned this.
we had Kenny Rogers
deserve-
lycanthropy, and it went into a Conan reference. So, I mean, how can you not love that? But if you haven't listened to the show, just to give you a brief kind of understanding of what happens, this is the Southern Fried Geekery Podcast. We talk about a lot of things that are kind of geek-related. Mostly themed on comics, but we get into a ton of stuff. Once a week, me, who is Caleb, let's introduce ourselves. I'm Caleb Alexander McKenzie.
I'm Craig Lance.
I'm Sean.
And I'm Jerry.
Once a week, we all get together to sit around the table and we talk about all the things that we thought about the week. And then we dig into some comics. Sometimes we go into anime. We talk about movies and games. We talk about a lot of stuff. It's geekery. That's what we do. So with no further ado, let's talk about some of the latest nerd news that kind of came into our universe this week.
Yeah, starting with film and TV news, Kevin Feige has been confirmed to oversee Disney's X-Men films. So I'm pretty excited about that.
Yeah, this kind of comes out of the merger between Fox and Disney, and everybody was wondering, well, what's going to happen, and is Ryan Reynolds going to be Deadpool, and which was really the only concern that we had.
Yeah, I mean, no one cares about the rest of the...
I think everyone else is generally cool with the recasting, except Ryan Reynolds.
Right.
Yeah.
Although I will still make an argument for McAvoy to stay on as Professor X.
And
he's good. He is. He's really good.
But his star is blowing up, so I wouldn't be surprised if he didn't want to be stuck in it.
And Michael Fassbender is Magneto. I really enjoyed that.
the acting wasn't the problem with especially with the later movies.
Some of the acting was a problem with stuff like Age of Apocalypse and stuff. They had some people who just didn't translate well to the script.
The main stars,
I know a lot of people are probably going to say only Hugh Jackman can be Wolverine, but I feel like that's been a long time coming that's needed to be cast, especially with how old he's getting, and he's fucking like 8 feet tall.
Yeah, I was going to say
a character that's supposed to be like 5. Something.
Yeah, I guarantee you they recast him. You know, I'm excited for the X-Men to finally be in the Wolverine universe.
I mean, you're not wrong. By most
it.
comics, that's an accurate statement.
In the Marvel universe,
Earth 616,
Wolverine and his sidekicks, the X-Men.
That and I don't think they're going to recast any of. They're just going to bring Deadpool into the Marvel universe now,
which they can because he's the character that breaks the fourth wall, and it would be funny. There's an easy way to do that.
Yeah, you bring him and you bring all of the people that you've already cast as X-Men. You let Domino, the same gal, be Domino. You let the same guy be Cable and Colossus.
I really like the guy.
Teenage Negasonic.
Hang on, can he be Cable?
Yes, he can.
Because he's also Thanos.
Thanos is all CG.
Yeah.
That's true.
He can be both.
He can do both.
Thanos is going to be dead after the next movie anyway.
What if Cable's really Thanos? Where's Donny Cates? I need to send him an email. Jesus Christ. I need to send him an email right now. I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah, me too.
Plus, Ryan Reynolds' ass in a leather suit needs to be preserved in history.
Stephanie says that they did not make him ugly enough for Deadpool.
I don't think you can. Have you seen Ryan Reynolds?
I have.
Is it leather?
His suit, yeah.
It would be fair that they could have mushed up his face a little bit more, but whatever.
Yeah,
I think it looks awesome.
I mean, it looks fine.
No, it looks fine.
Technically, in the comics, he looks a lot more hamburger in the face.
Yeah, I think what she was saying is she still finds him attractive, even as ugly as they made him.
He's a beautiful man.
Ooh, yes, he is. All right, so who wants to see an all-female team of Marvel superheroes on TV?
I am absolutely down with that.
Yeah, me too.
Absolutely.
Totally. I think we all do.
Whatever. No, yeah, I'm down for it.
Craig speaking for the internet.
Craig just turned into the living embodiment of Comicsgate. But we're getting it.
No, because then I would have said they're running comics.
Oh, that's true.
He would have stabbed the news reporter.
So, does the name Allan Heinberg ring a bell to anybody? He's the guy who wrote the Wonder Woman script for DC.
Okay.
He also is the writer who co-created the Young Avengers with, I think it was Jim Chung, way back in the day. That's the team that had, if you don't know, Young Avengers were the team that had Wiccan, the Hulkling. Later on, they had a really good run with America, Chavez.
Patriot.
Iron Lad.
Yeah, Iron Lad, who ended up being hanged. Anyway, he wrote that. So he has been tasked with the job of writing a show that we don't know what it's going to be about. We just know that this thing is kind of in production. We can only guess as to who we hope the show is going to feature, but I think we're all excited about the concept. There's a ton of young women in the Marvel universe. I mean, you're talking about characters, Miss Marvel, Squirrel Girl, you could do Dazzler, you could do America Chavez, characters that are like really big in the Marvel Rising thing right now.
Right. And you just brought up Marvel Rising, because I know they're doing an animated feature with kind of a similar concept. I know we said we ain't got a whole lot of information, but do you think this is going to be an expansion on that, or maybe a live action?
It could be. That would be really cool. I'd be super dope with that.
An expansion would be cool. I was actually talking to somebody the other day about who they could possibly cast in it, and I guess we could go ahead and kind of rule out anything that already has a live action character in it. So, just based off of that knowledge alone, who do you want to see?
Well, I think they've opened it up, as Caleb said, now that we have X-Men back under Marvel's umbrella, we could do things like Dazzler and things like that. Jubilee would be a great character.
Yeah, but I think you're right. I don't think we'll see people like Cloak and Dagger.
Yeah, you're not going to see people.
Or anybody from like Jessica Jones series, like Hellcat or anything like that.
Which is unfortunate because I really would like to see Hellcat. But I think they're going to go with a younger teenage group. So if you go back and read those books like Young Avengers, there are some younger female characters. There's an old character named Silverclaw that was kind of an exchange student in the Busiek Perez run. She was from South America. Like Jarvis was her sponsor. She was a super cool character that I haven't seen in forever. I would love to see that. Like that would be very timely to talk about somebody from South America coming here to the United States.
I only have one pick, and it has to happen.
Okay,
Moon Girl.
Oh yeah, Moon Girl.
I'm totally cool with Moon Girl. I was getting ready to say I don't feel like we're going to see Squirrel Girl because of the cost of CGIing a character for every show.
Right.
I think you're going to see more humanoid characters as the.
See, I thought that they were already doing a live action series, but I guess the stuff that I'm thinking of is whenever they were first announcing that Uprising.
Yeah.
Yeah, series like that's where they cast Squirrel Girl.
I think so.
Because it was the chick from the AT&T commercials, right?
Flo.
Like, I think that's Progressive.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
I know who you're talking about. She looks like her. She looks like Flo.
Yeah. Do you understand how long it's been since I've watched a commercial?
Yeah, I know. I feel the same way. I kind of, because they posted an image just, I guess, to kind of give an idea. But it was from like a comic or something.
Right.
Like, yeah. It wasn't something that they made specifically for this, is my point. But they had She-Hulk on it. I'd be super interested in that.
I would too, so I'm still holding out for a damage control show. I know that they at one point were talking about doing that, and then it got canceled. So I'm hoping she would be on something like that.
Yeah.
So in some other TV news, we have just found out that the lead of Nine Inch Nails, Trent Reznor, is going to be doing music for the Watchmen HBO series.
Right, yeah.
Which is awesome.
Yeah. It seems like every time they drop news on it, I'm like all over it.
Yes. And for those who may not know a whole lot about Nine Inch Nails, even I don't know enough.
It's basically just.
But it is just him.
Yeah.
He is Nine Inch Nails, and he has a tour band. Basically, This man is an instrumental and musical fucking genius.
Right.
So he's gonna bring some. And I went blank. I know when I saw the story, I remembered like he's done soundtracks before.
I think he did The Girl with the Dragon Tattoo.
Okay, I know he did some pretty good music for movies before, so I'm excited.
I want to say he's actually won either. I'm not sure if it would be a Grammy or if it would be a Golden Globe for some of his score work.
Possibly. We're not good reporters, so we didn't look into that.
Hey, we just read the news.
Yeah.
Our reporting staff is a little on the weak side.
We don't fabricate the news because that's the government's job.
We all lean away from Jerry as a red dot.
So let's admit it. Part of us all died, and I mean, honestly, all of the fangirls died when Loki died in Infinity War. Yeah, so Marvel isn't done with Tom Hiddleston as Loki or with Scarlet Witch. They're bringing both of them to their streaming service in new series. They're going to start new series, and what I read on it was they're going to take some characters that would never get their standalone movie from the MCU, and they're going to give them a television series.
That's cool. Black Widow needs
right, no shit. This is cool. Here's my problem. There are all of a sudden 7,000 streaming services. I can't, a few years ago, my husband and I, we cut off cable. We don't have satellite. We have three things. We have Netflix, we have Hulu, we have Amazon Prime, and I think we've got another thing that we borrow. We have a Vudu account or something that we can buy things off of. One of the reasons I got off of doing cable or Comcast or Dish Network is because it's fucking expensive. It's $80 a month if you want a decent package. But now in order to watch like one or two shows, I'm like looking at $120 a month on everybody's streaming services. I mean, you've got DC just launched theirs. Marvel has already got Marvel Unlimited. Now they're launching a Disney streaming service. CBS has their own thing. Netflix is doing their Netflix thing, and they're $12 a month now. There's a half dozen. The WWE has their own network. NFL has their own network. The Golden Girls is going to come off with their own network or some shit.
Amazon Prime.
Right now, the best deal you got going right now and I hope other companies can, but it all starts to become that corporate umbrella, which Disney has a whole bunch, so I'm hoping maybe they'll finally wise up, is that Crunchyroll partnered with Funimation a long time ago. Mm-hmm. And at first they had separate things. Then they started the new streaming service, VRV.
Right.
Which not only do you get Crunchyroll Funimation, they actually have a ton of other channel styles, so you get a whole lot in that one package. So I'm hoping eventually, at least Disney, since they own so much, will just combine all their shit into one.
Well, Craig and I were actually having a very similar conversation yesterday on the way home from the con that we went to, and we were kind of saying something very similar. Like, eventually it's just going to raise up and be this new umbrella of things where you're going to have another company, a Dish, Comcast, that gives you a package to where you can purchase for a blank price, and you get to pick of what streaming services you want.
So
and then it's just fucking cable and satellite again.
So the thing is like Dish Network, they offer a streaming package now. Mm-hmm. If you don't want to have a satellite dish, it only encompasses 2 televisions, but you can get their entire package on streaming service. Cable is going to have to adapt if they want to survive, and they're going to adapt by swallowing these companies. They're going to start buying them up.
The number of times people named Cable have had to adapt by swallowing is ridiculous.
Just because you changed your name to Cable on social media.
So the cable companies, I feel like, because they're owned by these same companies that own these other streaming services, because honestly, there's like 4 entertainment companies out there. They just have different names.
Right.
They're going to combine streaming services and offer you packages is what I feel is going to happen.
I think you are right.
One of my things about it, though, is I almost feel like both of these big companies for the DC streaming and the Disney streaming, I feel like they're almost too big for the britches type people that would not want to join in with anything like that, especially since, like, the Disney stuff has already had its own network for a long time on TV, right. And they were like, "Look, we're going to make our own thing and have exclusive stuff." So I don't know. I would love, because I've been wanting to check out VRV and everything that puts out. But yeah, I don't know. I guess we'll just wait and see.
Yep.
I mean, honestly, we all know Disney's going to own everything in entertainment in the next 10 years anyway. So
at least one affordable package will have everything we want to watch in one.
Eventually.
Monopoly.
I bet you end up with 2. You're going to end up with Time Warner and you're going to end up with Disney.
The mouse will set us free.
Indeed.
No. The mouse will enslave us all.
That's okay.
Well, we'll get off cable for a little bit. Looking at cable.
Number of times that's been said. If I only had $1.
And move on to a little bit of movie news. They have been started production on the Joker origin film, which is also a standalone movie. It's not going to be tied to the current DC universe movies. So, thank God. And they've been releasing little set videos actually from Twitter and like pictures and stuff like that. And we've seen I always forget his name. Joaquin Phoenix. Mr. Phoenix.
Walking Phoenix.
Joaquin Phoenix. We have finally officially got a video of him in his full, we assume full, we don't know how the movie's going to go yet, full Joker attire. What I'm digging about this, and honestly I've not seen much negativity about it, surprisingly enough for the internet, but maybe I'm not in the right sources, but he's we've seen him as just normal self. He has long hair, so now that long hair is dyed green. He has actually more clownish style makeup than going straight to just the Joker smile, which I dig. At least if it's not going to evolve into that, at least it kind of makes more sense that he's doing the whole eye makeup, a lot of variety. And he is wearing, to me, it screamed immediately Cesar Romero's suit from the 66 Batman, because it's very like kind of maroons and greens and stuff. It's
very bright Jokerish.
Yeah, I think it looks legit.
I think I don't know that people know how to like read this, like you said, because everything I've seen on the internet, nothing has really been like really, really pro or really, really con. It's all just been like people side-eyeing going, what do I do with this?
So let's talk about this for a second. Joaquin Phoenix is a wonderful actor.
He is.
The dude made a movie where it's him sitting in a room falling in love with a computer voiced by Scarlett Johansson, and it was a wonderful movie.
Right.
I'm going to give this movie a chance because it's Joaquin Phoenix. The makeup looks better. I knew exactly what was going on when they showed the original pictures, and it was him before the makeup, and everybody was freaking out.
Right.
He wasn't the Joker yet. This is a Joker origin story. They were showing you what he was going to look like pre, and now they're showing you post.
So I have a theory about this, if I may, real quick. I think that this is.
He is not Jason Todd.
No. It's not a fan.
That's the other.
Damn it, Craig! Not everything is Jason Todd. Okay.
I think that this is Warner Brothers and DC's attempt to win a quote unquote comic book movie a Best Picture award.
I think the new popular category.
Well, no, I think they're actually going for best picture. Oh. I don't think they're trying to do the popular film. Everything about this, from the fact that Joaquin Phoenix is playing it to the tone of the movie, it seems like it is a very what I would consider high art. This is not a plot driven thing. This is a very conceptualized, character driven film that I think I would not be surprised if this is their attempt to break that glass ceiling of getting a genre film, quote unquote, especially a superhero style genre film, to win a Best Picture and to get some type of artistic credibility. Now, we've seen a little bit of that with shows like Birdman, which did really well, but there's no impetus of that character in the actual comic books. That was just kind of based off the fact that Michael Keaton is Michael Keaton. And we saw Shape of Water, which won Best Picture, but again, a little bit Hellboy-esque, but again, something else. But I think this is their first time to actually dip their hand, pull a character out of the pool of comics, and give it some artistic credibility in the film world, so to speak.
So most likely going probably One Bad Day kind of theory.
Possibly.
It's probably going to be a tragedy.
Yeah.
A tragedy.
I mean, I could be completely wrong and they just go full-fledged slapstick. Funny shit.
I don't think that's what you're going to... I think you're going to get a serious crime drama.
Yeah.
And it's going to be like Sean said, it's going to be One Bad Day. You're going to see this, maybe stretched over a couple of weeks, but it's going to be...
just a theory of how Joker, in one of his origins, and I believe it was The Killing Joke was the first time they brought that up, how just one bad day turned him into the Joker. So,
yeah.
One of the things that I just, for some reason, just hit me, his makeup for it almost looks like the mask that Heath Ledger's Joker was wearing at the beginning of the Dark Knight.
Right.
And that was in itself a reference to
Cesar Romero's.
Yeah, especially around the eyes, the triangles around the eyes, because he still is just doing the Joker red smile, but when I point out the eye makeup, which really puts it more towards the circus clown look, which is reminiscent of that mask. Absolutely.
So the whole thing is that his makeup to me looks more like a Joker from a card. When you look at which are based on gestures, which I really think that's what the look they're going for. They're going for, because he always uses his Joker as his calling card. A Joker card is his calling card. I think they're going for that look a little bit.
I'm sure.
A little bit of an homage to Cesar Romero for sure, because
the suit.
The suit for sure.
His
was purple and green, but still, that's still those bright colors.
It was purple, but I don't. Maybe I'm just not trying to think back to it right off the top of my head, but it wasn't like a bright purple. It was a very dull, almost maroonish.
Yeah, it wasn't. It wasn't like a neon purple. Yeah. So
speaking of bright colors and the fact that I really want to quit talking about clowns because they scare me. Did you guys? This is a redundant question. First of all, I'm just saying it because I wrote it down. Let's talk about that Captain Marvel trailer. Everyone watched it at the table. I know we did because we all have talked about it all.
Captain Marvel. Isn't that Shazam? I just had to say it because everybody's...
You can apparently slap grandmas as long as you're going over state lines.
That's a weird New Jersey rule. It's okay to punch octogenarians on Tuesday.
Let's just address that because that seems to be the thing that was talked about.
Everyone
probably the most. There's one other thing which I don't know if I'm going to hit on or not, but the fact that she slapped the old lady on the bus.
She didn't slap her. She punched the shit out of her.
Hit her or whatever. The reality is we all know that's a Skrull.
It's a Skrull.
We all know that.
They gave you a trailer with actual Skrulls in it, and you're wondering why she's punching a person. It's a Skrull.
It's a Skrull.
There's a part of me I will hope.
I hope it's not.
I hope they. I'm going to go ahead and touch on the other part. I hope they go through and CGI a smile on her face through the whole fucking movie.
No.
I was actually talking to my friend at the con about it yesterday, and I didn't know that she did this, but apparently Brie Larson or somebody that's connected to her circle went back and found all the other Marvel movie posters and Photoshop smiles onto all of their faces.
Yeah, it looks really great.
Yeah.
It's that whole nitpick, it pisses me off on two fronts. A, They delivered such a fantastic trailer. And this is coming from a guy who knows nothing about Captain Marvel, but I'm already super interested in this movie. And their complaint was she's not smiling enough.
It's a sexist thing.
I'm going to say, if you've ever talked to a woman who's ever had a creepy guy hit on them, one of the classic pickup lines is, hey, smile for me.
Yeah,
it's fucking creepy.
You should smile more. You're so pretty when you smile. Yeah. It's just meant to make men comfortable because they view women as a handbag of sorts, as some type of accessory. That's
Heroes with vaginas are scary too.
Dicks.
Wait, yes.
Yeah,
I don't think we got that ad lib right there, but okay.
Point made.
Not literal dicks.
Yeah.
I don't necessarily want to talk about the things in the
let's talk about
the actual trailer.
We got that out the way. Let's talk about the amazing.
That bad taste out of our mouth.
Yeah.
The trailer was amazing.
Yes.
So I am not. You said you weren't very familiar with the character. I'm familiar with the character. I've never been her biggest fan. Well, I liked her when she was Miss Marvel and when she was Warbird. When she became Captain Marvel, it seems like part of her getting promoted was her like destroying everything I love and hold dear, and becoming a very Captain America figure, which is perfectly fine. That's for that character. Kelly Sue DeConnick is amazing, number one, and she's the one who kind of brought that into life. That was the most Kelly Sue DeConnick trailer I think ever. And it was so fun.
Okay, so talking about the change in the character from Miss Marvel to Captain Marvel.
Mm-hmm.
You and I had this conversation yesterday. I preferred her as Miss Marvel, but I am 100% good with the character of Captain Marvel and what they're doing with Captain Marvel. The trailer looks absolutely amazing, and I am glad that they are using the Captain Marvel moniker as opposed to Miss Marvel. For her, because I think it would cause confusion with the comic book world.
Yeah.
I see. The most I know about Captain Marvel is that Rogue killed her as Ms. Marvel.
Absorbed her.
And that's how Rogue got the flight and strength powers. Like, most people never questioned. At least when I was growing up, we're like, yeah, Rogue can fly and absorb and strength. And that's all her power set. Like, no, she killed a fool. And so beyond that, and of course, like the cosmic universe, I don't know a lot about, but like, just the shots they're showing from like both on Earth and out in space and all the characters they're showing, I'm super fucking pumped.
Yeah.
This is not my wheelhouse.
Yeah, the biggest three things in it that really got me was Skrulls, Kree, and then the binary.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, at the end when she.
Good. It was amazing, and then they also showed off that suit with the cowl that she wears at some point. So hopefully we'll get to see that soon. Also,
they gave her the mohawk haircut, where it looks like a mohawk in the cowl. Yeah.
Also, young Samuel Jackson.
Right. Well, and
let's talk about that.
I thought that was interesting because they're using the same type of like de-aging digital effect they used for Tony Stark in was it the third?
Iron Man.
The third Iron Man movie, and they're getting better at it because we've seen it since then.
I don't think Samuel L. Jackson needs much de-aging. He just needs gray knot in his hair and take off the eye patch. I mean, he looks fairly young for his age anyways. So
listen here, DC. Instead of just CGing out facial hair, just CG out the whole person and make a new person.
Right. So I guess my last thing on this is, did anybody else feel old as fuck when you realized that Blockbuster was now a 90s trope? And because it no longer exists.
Like someone pointed out that the beauty of that was they showed Blockbuster without a year having to be stamped onto the screen, and so you know the shit's
right. It just
I love the meme that came out of that because it was like, so how mid 90s is Captain Marvel going to be? And then it shows like the little gif of her like crashing into the Blockbuster.
Yep. So apparently there is still one Blockbuster in existence. I saw this on the internet. It's like in Oregon or Washington State.
They turned it into like a really like unique like restaurant type thing.
Yeah, it's a very, again, playing off that nostalgia. So I'm really pumped for this movie. I love that Marvel and Disney are doing the right thing and going ahead and they are advertising early because I think we're still 6 months out from this. It comes out next year. It's good to see that they're building this momentum into something because it's their first female led film. It's arguably the most powerful character in their universe.
Excuse me, if there was Elektra.
3-man podcast.
Yes.
No. We don't talk about the bad days.
Yeah. So I am super excited about this. I mean, I think I've talked on here before about how I no longer have very few of the Marvel movies are like, I have to go see them.
Uh-huh.
I don't feel that way about them anymore than I did when they first came out.
Right.
I feel that way about this one.
Right.
I already know I want to go see this movie.
Yep.
And I've seen one 30-second trailer.
So, and I think the thing here is, I mean, because it is their first female-led show, and I mean, in the political time that we live in, that's a thing. That's an important thing, right? I wonder how it's going to do in comparison to Black Panther, which was their first person of color driven show. And I don't say that in means of, oh, it has to do better or worse, or this thing is better, or this thing is better. I'm just curious because Black Panther broke everything.
I think that when you're talking about the Marvel Cinematic Universe, I don't think that those things, they are important to us as a whole, as a society. I don't think it makes as much of a difference on the profit end of it, because they're pulling from the same fandom.
Right.
Now, I feel like Black Panther probably pulled some additional people in.
Yeah, definitely outside the fandom.
Yeah, I feel like Black Panther did. I don't know that this movie will necessarily, but it may very well. It'll be interesting to see.
It's not. I don't think it's going to break Black Panther records, but I think it's going to break some other Marvel records.
For sure. I think so.
Speaking of Black Panther, we've got some comics news.
Yeah, we do.
Killmonger, one of the better villains that the MCU has done. He's getting a 5-issue miniseries by Brian Hill and Juan Ferreira. Ferreira?
I think, yeah.
Ferreira. Did I say Ferreira?
Mr. Ferreira. If you're mad at either of us messing up your last name, feel free to come on this podcast and find us.
So yeah, he's getting a 5-issue miniseries.
Nice.
And I mean, with the success of his character in the MCU, I don't know. Does anybody remember the last time he popped up in comics?
I don't remember the last time he popped up. He was a big part of the Christopher Priest run, which I've spoken about it before. I think the Christopher Priest run is the best Black Panther run that's ever been put to paper.
Until current. Until the current Black Panther.
See, I'm not.
When this one's over, we'll be able to adjust. We'll be able to talk about it up there with it. I think you're going to see Killmonger in this version because it's a futuristic version where they're all taking monikers of the old heroes and villains. We'll see Killmonger shortly in the...
Very cool. I can see that happening. I kind of ducked off the current Black Panther run. I don't like cosmic stuff. It's just not... I like things that are based on Earth, and so because it's so futuristic and spacey, it just kind of lost my interest.
I used to say that about Marvel, but they've sold me on the cosmic in the past couple of months. I mean, even Doctor Strange is cosmic right now.
Yeah, I know. It's that interesting.
All right, so moving on. Some more internet stir this week when Marvel announced the death of Daredevil, written by Charles Soule. You know, these things happen in comics. It's a trope. It happens. They die. They come back. Charles Soule, who also did the death of Wolverine.
Yeah.
Is doing this. I trust Charles Soule to do it. The Return of Wolverine, which he's writing right now, actually was really fantastic. The first issue was a lot of fun. They left Wolverine dead for, I want to say it's been 2014.
Yeah.
He's been dead a good long time before they brought him back. So I don't think this is going to be one of those, he's dead for a couple of months. I think that they're going to give Daredevil a break for a while.
Right.
Are we going to get, because Wolverine died in, he said 2014, but Wolverine itself was never really gone the entire time.
Yeah, they kind of turned him into a mantle.
And Daredevil doesn't really have that kind of option.
So Daredevil, in the current Daredevil run, he actually has a kid that he's been training. His name is Blind Spot.
Blind Spot, yeah.
He actually, he could see, but he can turn invisible. He's got a suit that allows him to turn invisible. He had sight. Daredevil was training him. One of their villains pulled his eyeballs out. So, so I feel like Blind Spot will be Daredevil for a while. Okay. And he is a Latino character, an immigrant that is here illegally. So you can imagine what is going to happen over that one.
Like literally, as soon as you said that, the entire thing just popped in my head of an immigrant that is blinded, fighting for justice. Justice is blind by an immigrant. I love it.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, it's going to be amazing because that character is amazing. Yeah. He will do things that Daredevil won't because, especially coming from his background and heritage, he will cross lines that Daredevil won't cross, and Daredevil's been trying to rein him in.
Okay.
He straight up killed somebody and caused an event in New York.
Wow.
One of the better new villains that they've had in a long time, named Muse, who was the guy that ripped his eyes out. He straight up killed him.
Oh, I mean, he ripped it
by summoning a demon.
As you do.
So
fucking Hell's Kitchen, man.
Yeah.
So this is the thing. I'm gonna have to. I don't know. I'm gonna wait and see. I don't read Daredevil. I've read Daredevil. You know, I've read the Frank Miller stuff. I've read some of the Ann Nocenti stuff. The things that are the death of aren't a pull-in for me. You know, Death of Superman kind of broke the need for me to ever like just go grab something because of Death of. But I still think you have to, like you said, Charles Soule has been writing a lot of stuff. I've liked a lot of the stuff he's done. I've been iffy on some of the other stuff he's done, but I still think he has at least the credibility to let's wait and see what happens.
So my take on the Death of things is this: if you're not reading that character anyways,
yeah, it doesn't matter.
Don't jump on it just because they're killing them. Because if you're buying the books because you want the Death of book so that you can be mad in 5 years when they bring them back,
right?
Because then the value of your book goes down.
Yeah.
Don't jump on the book for that, because buy the books you want to read. It's that simple.
Yeah. Totally.
You know, and if you get lucky and one of them ends up being $1 million book, great, you know?
Yeah. Speaking of books that are things that are coming back, Walt Simonson is coming back to the New God. If you don't know what the New Gods are, and you're not reading Mr. Miracle, like I'm not right now, but apparently it's amazing. The New Gods are an invention of Jack Kirby when he switched over to DC World. Walt Simonson is just Walt Simonson. I don't know how else to say that. Right. He's a legend.
If you read Thor in the 80s, you know who Walt Simonson is because he did the art for a decade.
He created Beta Ray Bill, so he's good enough.
Exactly. He's Walt Simonson. He really played, you know, if you're into higher concept things, Walt Simonson he's a good way to go.
Well, and if you get him and his wife working on a book together, it'll blow your mind.
Yeah, Wheezy's a gem. I love Wheezy. Seriously, like I've never actually met her, but just knowing what I know about her, she is one of the most amazing people in comics.
Speaking of Death of, she kind of ran the whole Death of and Return of.
Yeah, she did.
Superman.
She did that.
Oh wow.
Yeah, Wheezy had her hand all up in Soups. Yeah, she was kind of the driving
Does Walt know about that?
I mean, hey, quit king shaming, Craig. But yeah, I'm not only am I thinking this is probably going to be a good thing to read because it's going to be interesting if you're into the New Gods kind of thing. It's just good to see Walt Simonson still working.
Yeah,
I'm going to knock on some wood real quick. We haven't had to do a in memoriam piece in a few weeks now, and that's been amazing because it seemed like there for a hot minute we were having to do one every week, and it was like 3 or 4 names of these just amazing comics people, these legends of the industry, the titans that we've kind of built our fandom on, are passing away. This first generation or second generation of creators now, we seem to be losing them at a very increasingly incremental rate, and I'm so happy to see Walt Simonson still doing very well. Still being a successful person, still being a creative person.
Well, he had his own book a couple of years ago. Ragnarok was a beautifully drawn book.
Yeah.
So I mean, he's never drifted far from comics.
No, he's all
But to see him back on a major book is awesome.
And just to be pulling some headlines again.
Yeah.
We live in a world where Walt Simonson getting like a headline book. This is fucking rad. It's Walt goddamn Simonson, y'all.
And I love that DC's going with some of their higher concept stuff. The New Gods is a hard sell to people.
Yeah.
Because of what it entails, basically alien gods. But it's working with Mr. Miracle right now, so I know why they're doing it.
Yeah.
And they're definitely pulling in the right artists to work on something like that.
No, I didn't get on it whenever it first came out, and I highly regret it. But I think the trade paperback comes out like next month.
It should.
Yeah, there's only one more issue left.
Yeah. And Tom King was on another podcast this week talking about it. And he's got the arc wrapped up, and it's apparently good. I know he's selling himself. It's amazing.
Yeah, issue 11 of that was maybe the best 11th issue of a 12-issue miniseries since probably since the Watchmen.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Well, guys, got one last little bit of comic book news we want to cover, and I want to bring up the giant penis in the room. Batman the Damned came out.
It did. It came out swinging.
Bad dick.
Yes.
And we're not talking about the Grayson.
We are not talking about Dick Grayson. We are talking about Dick Batman.
The Dick. The bad Dick.
Yes. In a book advertised and aimed definitely at a mature audience. Is what they said. The Black Label, I believe what they're calling this run. They went full force. Now, this is not what I've read, but you can't. I personally posted the story on our Facebook page, and it's brought up conversation. But yes, you get a view of Bruce's manor.
Batwing.
We all turned 5. We're giggling.
Okay, so I'll start with this. My first read through this book, I didn't love the book. I thought it was a very good book. Don't get me. I did not hate the book. It wasn't. I didn't think it was super special for them to launch the Black Label with. Second read through and upon retrospection, I really like this book. And I'll lead us into the whole Bat Dick thing. Batman is broken. His memory is shoddy at best at the moment. When he first wakes up, this starts with him unconscious, and when he first wakes up, he doesn't even remember his name.
Yeah.
He doesn't remember who he is. He doesn't know how he got to where he is.
Very amnesiac.
It slowly, parts and pieces are coming back to him. John Constantine shows up and actually saves him.
And who is the narrator? I found that interesting. John Constantine's the narrator throughout the entire book.
Yeah, it's a really interesting book because it has a lot to do with the mystic side of DC.
Dead Man shows up, and it's
Zatanna.
Yeah.
It's really dealing with the mystic part of Batman. I mean, of DC, kind of like the Wolverine universe, the Batman universe. So it's dealing with that. So he ends up back at the Batcave in a very vulnerable spot, strips down to get Bat scanned by the Bat computer, and you see a very faint outline. It's not even super detailed of his penis.
Yeah.
And it's in 2 different panels, and the internet blew up. Caleb, I know you have thoughts on why.
Yeah, so, I mean, giggling aside about the fact that we did see the bat penis in there, in art, in film, we see, normally when we see nudity, it's very sexualized, especially female nudity, where women are not personified, they're objectified. And that's normally where it comes in at. We are reaching an age, and I mean, we've been there for the past 20 years. I think the first time I saw full frontal male nudity in a film was probably 12 years ago. And I forget what film it was off the top of my head. But then we've had things like the Watchmen come through. We've had your higher end, like I said earlier, these more art films that are generally respected as being art and not genre or blockbusters or popcorn movies. They showed a little bit, and now we're starting to see a lot more of that in comics. So we live in a world that nudity is inherently sexualized. And we live in a world that has a very, in my opinion, toxic view of what is masculine. And so I think part of the reason the internet blew up about this is there's 2 reasons. Obviously giggling because penis. And everybody is 5. But also there were some people who got really angry at this, who got kind of upset that there's this image of Batman. And I think it has a lot to do, and I could be wrong, so I just want to throw that out there. If this is not, I'm not trying to speak for somebody, I'm giving my opinion and my kind of how I process seeing these things. We have a very toxic view of masculinity, and what you see in this book is a naked, broken, vulnerable man drawn nude in a very tasteful pose, I want to say. It's not smut, it's very tastefully drawn, but it's inherently unsexualized. And I think that shocks people, and they don't know how to process it. And let's be honest, the more that gay culture kind of becomes accepted, the harder, the more staunch the pushback from people who are going to push back is, to the point that anything that gets put into their world where they have to see male nudity or see male vulnerability
You're hearing me roll my eyes.
Right, it's quote unquote gay. And so when they see that, it bothers them because they can't process it without it being sexual. Or they can't see a new body without thinking about sex. But and there's another part of this, and you're seeing your hero, this guy that's been put on a pedestal, this Bruce Wayne, this icon, this Dark Knight. You're seeing him, honestly, arguably his most vulnerable human moment. And I think that people have a hard time processing this because they fetishized him as a inherently violent figure, as an inherently an armored figure, a veil between reality and this idealized masculinity. And when you see him where he's just basically broken down into a way that's not patronizing, that's not this patriarchal figure, into something that deposes a little bit, not effeminate but feminized. And I think that weirds people out who have idealized this in such a way. And I could be completely wrong about that. That's just my take. I think that has a lot to do with it, though. There's a little bit of laced homophobia and laced misogyny in this when people rail against it at such a hard way. When they're forced to view the nude male form in a non-sexual manner, or in a manner that's not being used around or with a woman. Because like Craig made a good point. We were having this conversation earlier. Straight guys watch porn. They're not like, I made a joke about straight guys being scared of cock. Like for some reason you throw a cock in the room and straight guys just scramble like it's a goddamn grenade. But they watch porn, right? They don't mind
just that theory.
They don't mind giant hard throbbing phalluses in their porn, but that's because number one, they're watching it by themselves and they usually don't talk about it with other guys. Number two, it's an inherently sexualized thing, and in their case, it's a penis being used with a woman. It's inherently sexual. When you take that aspect off, it kind of like it makes them think of the nude male as vulnerable, as human, as not inherently sexual, as something that can be part of his personhood and not defined, making him this alpha sexual character.
Well, okay, so last night after my Pathfinder game, David asked me this question, and he brought up a good point. When we see women nude in movies or whatever, the parts of them that they are insecure about, the size of, we know that before they ever take off their shirt, whether they're well endowed or not. With men, we tend to be very vulnerable when it comes to that. It's a concern that all of us have. Are we big enough? Are we too small? Or we're all of those things. And so when we see it in a vulnerable situation, it adds to that level.
Yeah.
Now, I do want to address one other little thing. I saw some of the comments from people, and I've stayed away from this controversy for the most part because it's the internet being the internet. But I did see some comments where somebody was saying, I don't need my superheroes showing their penis, but these are kids' books. Let me tell you something. This book was not geared towards children. The black label was never supposed to be for children. It says for mature right on the freaking cover of it. If you let your kids read this book, that's on you, not on DC. I feel that DC knew this was going to be a controversy before it ever came out because they never released the digital version with the penis in it. Mm-hmm. And second prints are automatically going to be without the penis in it.
Which is unfortunate.
It really is, but Marvel did the same exact thing with Spider-Man Reign. There's a whole lot of people speculating this book's going to be a $high book. It'll be a $10 book, guys. It's not going to... Spider-Man Reign is a $10 book if you have the one that shows his penis. It's a controversy of the moment. 6 months from now, no one's going to care about Bruce Wayne's penis. Stephanie brought up a good point, too. She thought it was much different that it was Batman's penis versus Bruce Wayne's penis.
That's true.
Oh.
Yeah.
If it had been Bruce Wayne's penis, it would have been a different take on it. Mm-hmm. But the fact that it was, because it was clearly he was in his Batman persona at that time point. He didn't have a suit on, but he was very clearly Batman at that moment. She felt that made a difference in it for.
That is a very astute observation, and I did not think about that.
Yeah, and it kind of like, I don't know if we were ever going to address it. I don't think he ever actually posted on our Facebook page, but our friend Tyler May had asked Walt to shop, and we had talked about it. We would discuss on the show, but I don't think he ever actually posted the question.
He did. I have it. It's on the list. We're going to get there. Yep. Okay. I put it on the list of questions.
We'll get more into detail, though, but it is a little preview then of whenever we do get to it about just sex and sexuality in comics can be used outside of just fan service or that kind of thing. Generally what he was kind of asking about. And I think this is a prime example. Now, maybe because I'm an artist, study anatomy, I know we all have penises. Some of the general population has penis. It doesn't weird me out. And like just recently, even though they censored the sex scene in Batman White Knight, they had pointed out that they fully drew Harley Quinn naked in the scene she was with Joker. They just put the speech bubbles over it to censor it out. So, like, I think we're getting to a point where even, like, because Image, you read Saga, my God, you're going to see everything. But I think we are starting to get to a point where comic books can be viewed as art. It started back with, like, Watchmen. We would point out Watchmen had a ton of blue penis all throughout it. And it's considered a work of art, and it is. And I'm starting to think, like, eventually we're going to start getting those books like Batman Dan, where, like, okay, this is mature content because you're scared of penis. But, like, you can use it, like you said, it's for vulnerability. It wasn't for sexuality. It wasn't for any kind of thing. It's getting to a point where I think, like, we're going to eventually start getting more stories that are coming with
it. It kind of reminds me of that episode of South Park where Butters was watching Game of Thrones. Remember that?
Yeah. Well, and Game of Thrones is another good episode. Yeah. It's another... There's a lot of penis in Game of Thrones in a non-sexual manner. Yeah.
I find it very ironic that it's the same people that are scared of vaginas that are scared of penises.
Just genitals in general.
Well, that's true, but also to the comment that you were making, some of these same people that were having a problem with penis being in their book are the same ones that want a children's cartoon to have bigger tits.
Yeah.
Ain't wrong.
So also on this whole thing is, I think it's in the two cases of the big two that have done it, which has been Peter Parker and now Bruce Wayne. Now Peter Parker, Marvel kind of backed out of it and said the artist snuck it in and we didn't know it. But DC's owned up to it and we knew it was in there. It was part of the story and it's what it should have been.
And it was designated for mature readers. So.
Right. But I think in the two cases that we've had, it's been who the characters are. And because they're characters you grew up with. In most of our cases, we grew up watching Batman animated or watching Spider-Man animated or reading the comics and then I think there's something in our minds that for whatever reason, it shouldn't be that way, but I think there is something that affected some people. Yeah. For whatever reason, if it bothers you, it's very freaking faint. Just scroll on past the panel and read the
Well, I think the important part here is that we now have answered the question that we've all wondered for almost 75, almost 80 years now. Is Bruce Wayne cut? And the answer is yes.
Yes, there's no cowl on
Now, I guess the question now is the Red Hood cut? Or does he have the Red Hood? I'm not sorry. Okay.
We also know if he leans to the right or to the left.
I mean, it was impressive. I'm just saying. Okay.
Castro was like... and we had to explain to him that white guys are growers and not showers.
Look, actually, that's not a very impressive penis.
We're like, yeah, white guys are growers, not showers.
Bro, you're grading on the curve, bro.
And it curves to the right. All right, so, if you want to come to our Facebook page and drop off your opinion on the Batcock, go right ahead. Or if you want to, come on there and start a thread. Who else do you want to see? What other superhero Wang do you want shown in? I mean, personally, I just want to see Dick Grayson's ass, because he's got the best ass in comics.
Well, one last thing about this, okay? Comic books are no longer written for teenage boys. They're written for a larger variety of people. But in the origins of comics, let's be honest, it was about male fantasy.
Yeah.
That's why you have overly sexualized women and overly buffed men.
Yeah, they're
absolutely
objectified, not personified.
Yes. And it's been about teenage male fantasy forever. That probably bothers them at some level too, because this is not quote unquote their teenage male fantasy.
Yeah.
So
hashtag not my bad dick.
All right, I'm going to try my segue one more time.
All right,
sorry.
I saw what you were doing.
Come on and come to our Facebook page. Let us know what your opinions on nudity in comics are. That's going to be a topic coming up. But while you're on our Facebook page or our Instagram page, you're going to be seeing some stuff that Sean does as a part of his daily drawings thing. We've been talking about this for a little bit. His New Year's resolution was to make himself do art so he could grow as an artist, and he's doing a great job at that. And he does a drawing a day, and most of what he draws comes from suggestions or requests from people who listen to the show. So what'd you draw this week, Sean?
Yeah. This week was another fun one, as always, because, as Caleb said, actually, I don't think I've done a drawing out of my own head in a long time, and I'm fucking loving that. So keep the requests coming, good people. First up was a Shogun Warrior from an old 70s toy line, as requested by one Craig Lance, who left the table. I drew his request first at the beginning of the week. After that, we had another request, Mifune from Soul Eater, as requested by Jerry, who is at the table.
Hello, that's me.
Besides being an awesome character with 12 swords and one sheath, was there a particular reason you requested him?
No. I just
popped in your head?
like something reminded me of that character at that day and time, and I was like, make Sean request that from Sean.
Well, nothing wrong with that.
It just seems like bad planning. 12 swords and one sheath.
One giant sheath.
It's a big sheath, and the way that he fights is he throws it up in the air and they all land in the ground. And he runs through the battlefield grabbing them. And
so his superpower is lawn darts?
Yes.
Sure.
Well, Jerry also inspired somebody else to make a request immediately afterwards, because his boo thing, Stephanie Straw, immediately in the threads told me not to draw that Mifune. I did anyway. And requested Mifune from Naruto.
I do what I wanted.
All right. So they both got it. I was not going to make the couple fight over my drawings. So yes, I did Mifune from Naruto for Stephanie Straw. After that, we're back to good old Rod Hedrick's request, doing the 10th Doctor, which is the Purple Man, David Tennant.
Mm-hmm. Tennant.
I don't know how you say his name. Tennant, whatever, motherfucker. David Tennant. If you're upset by the way I misspelled your...
Please come on the show.
Please come on the show.
Please come on the show.
He's also Scrooge McDuck in the new DuckTales cartoon, which is kind of awesome. There you go.
Also had the best hair of any Doctor ever.
I think Matt Smith fans would argue with that.
They were wrong.
All right. After that, I got a request to draw Sonia Muhammad, requested by Sonia Muhammad. First time I've drawn an actual person in this one. That was, and it was actually a lot of fun because I had to do a lot of Facebook stalking to find all the pictures of her sleeve. She is completely sleeved out on her tattoos, and I wanted to get as close to the details as I could.
You're absolutely right. You have never drawn you suplexing me in a picture before.
We're not real people. We're on the internet.
Shit, you're right. Just auto-generated voices.
That's true. Okay, and since Jerry's a fuck, let me reiterate it. The first time
you and your bullshit, Sean.
Thank you. I knocked over the Venom figure that I posted a picture of on our Facebook page while recording this.
I'm gonna get into that.
Shut up, fucker. First time someone requested themselves.
Two-man hashtag podcast.
And right.
You're doing
I did it backwards.
Podcast?
Yeah. Just
little side note, it's I'm completely okay with this. You just have to understand you can't get mad if I draw you. I'm gonna leave it at that.
Yeah.
That's all.
Hey, that picture of her was fantastic.
Oh, I was very happy with the way it came out. And she did too. But you know how some people can get.
Oh yeah.
Because I'm stylized, but I draw the truth. Well, anyway, moving on from that.
So I'm not letting you draw a picture of my fat penis.
Well, so much for your birthday.
Jesus, we were trying to leave fat penis in the past, Caleb. We're bringing it back up.
Moving right along, I decided to go ahead and wrap up good Rod Hedrick's final request for the 12th Doctor, which was surprisingly, I'm not a Doctor Who guy. For some reason, I didn't connect that, Tennant immediately followed by Smith. I thought that's who he requested, and I saw it was the current Doctor. I assume they haven't moved on to the female Doctor, right? Have they?
The Doctor regenerated into her at the end of the last Christmas special. So,
okay. But she hasn't started her run yet.
No, that starts here coming up shortly.
Okay,
and then
so he is right now. He's the current Doctor, and he wasn't very popular, from what I understand. He's an older gentleman playing the Doctor this time, and I think Irish or Scottish.
He was a great Doctor. The problem was that the fanboys and girls that were in love with David Tennant and Matt Smith were not exactly excited about an older version of the Doctor, but they're also not excited about a female version of the Doctor. So
can't fangirl out over a young, handsome man. They can over old, handsome men and attractive women. But,
did he have you do the War Doctor?
No, I don't know what that is because no one asked and I haven't researched it. The final request was from one Robert Skinner, who requested Hulk and Bane doing the Predator handshake. If you're not familiar with the original 1980s Predator, the handshake is when Arnold Schwarzenegger and Carl Weathers first see each other, and Schwarzenegger calls Weathers a son of a bitch, and they just lock hands in a handshake and flex with all their sweat and lubed up muscles that they could, and only an 80s action movie could do. And I did my damnedest to recreate that in this drawing.
Mm-hmm.
And apparently it's the most metal thing I've drawn.
It was metal as fuck. I loved it.
But that was my week in drawings. It was a very interesting and diverse drawing thing, which I always love. Please keep them coming. I've got some still built up. I always need more.
Keeping you on your toes.
Since we're not doing manga ramen, can you say that the bowl is full and give us the exit?
My drawings are done. My bowl is empty. Ikadakimasu.
And dude, seriously, thank you for sharing your art with us. We really appreciate it. And people on the Facebook page seem to really, really love it. And so it's kind of rad. So one of the other things we do in connection to our social media page is we kind of compile and collect questions that you find folks have out there, and we bring them to the show. This week we have 2 questions. They're both from the same person, and I thought because they tie in really well to one another, so I thought it would be a good thing to bring to the show. So Tamara Sipes, a friend of mine who lives up in Northwest Arkansas, she's a librarian, and she's a brilliant person. I love her to death. She's kind of just like the most pure human I've ever met. She would like to know, she asks 2 things. What geeky books would you suggest to a non-reader or an unenthusiastic reader? It doesn't have to be comics. I love this question on numerous levels, but specifically, I've spoken before. You guys know I'm taking this collegiate course right now. That it's about sequential art, and we're looking at different concepts that sequential art does. Not necessarily breaking down books, but we're looking at how they're utilized and used in a lot of ways. There is when she uses the phrase an unenthusiastic reader, graphic novels are being used in education right now a lot to get kids who might not want to pick up books, they're not excited about reading, or they're intimidated by reading, to get them to flip pages, to actually to read. It works, it's great, and so I really love that aspect of it, because there are a lot of books that, when we think about comic books, a lot of times we think about superheroes, but the young adult market is one of the fastest growing and most lucrative markets in comics today. It's one of the most profitable markets in comics, and they usually don't have anything to do with superheroes. Now, you can have young adult superhero books, but there are a ton of other ones. We just read This One Summer by Mariko Tamaki and her cousin, I forget who did the art. Mariko Tamaki is currently the writer of X-23. She did the She-Hulk run, but she did a graphic novel that was called This One Summer that's basically a semi-autobiographical book, kind of a coming-of-age story that deals a lot with her family and stuff. And there are these real moments, and it almost invites, as a reader, a young adult to enter this world as the main character, and it hits on some really important subject matters that as adults we may not take seriously, but kids understand them to be important, and they grasp them, and they kind of wonder why grown-ups are hiding these things or won't talk to them about it because they're dealing with it. It's a fascinating story. That is one that I would absolutely encourage kids to read. It's an easy read. It's not intimidating. It's not overwhelming. It's a thick book, but it's a fast read. And so you've got a kid who, in a matter of a couple hours, is going to be able to say they read a 200-page book. That's encouraging to kids. And it's a fun book. It's really cool. I also, and I'm not going to name comics because there's too many of them, books that tie into things that they are seeing on pop culture television. I will. How to Train Your Dragon. I love that series. My nephew loves that series. He's 4. It's one of the things that whenever he comes up, we watch together. Roger, my husband, loves that series. There's comics. You can get them to read this story about a thing that they see on TV. They're going to be encouraged to read that. And if you outside of comics, I haven't read young adult stuff in a long time. I don't know. Do you still hit people with Twilight? I'm not sure. There was a series of books called Redwall. It was the Redwall Chronicles growing up by a writer named Brian Jacques. It's anthropomorphized animals who live in a little abbey in England, and it's very swords and sorcery and cloak and dagger, but with kid-friendly with animals and squirrels and stuff like that. It's kind of what the book Warriors was idealized from, and that became a very brutal and violent book that shouldn't be for kids. But those are some things that I think you can get kids to read, and even novels that incorporate art with them, picture books, so to speak. I think that's the way to go. If you have a kid who maybe wants to read but is intimidated by it, or just would rather you want to get them out in front of the TV, that's the route.
Great.
Do you have any?
I mean, you nailed it on the head. As far as something they're familiar with, not reading, that you can kind of expand upon. You can find even like for young kids, they've got Minecraft little storybooks. They got Teen Titans Go. They like watching that cartoon. Just anything that's like kind of related to what they're watching. And commonly associated when you talk about people who aren't enthusiastic readers, you kind of assume children. I actually know a lot of people my age or close to our age, grown men, and I give them shit. But in reality, it's like some people are like, I'm not a big fan of reading, and I make the joke as an adult, that's the saddest thing I've ever heard in my life. But it's real. Some people don't want to read a lot, and so I don't normally would push novels on them because it's just a bunch of words you don't like to read. That's literally all there is to a novel. So comics is the way to go for me, or manga. If they're into watching the anime and they're like, man, I'm tired, the season's over, how do I want more though. I'm like, here's the manga volume. Here's exactly where it picks up, and now you can be ahead of it. You'll know what's going on. So just finding something that they're already into that's not involved reading and show them that there is literature of it.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of struggle with this. I mean, at the comic book store, it was a really big thing of kind of knowing your audience because people came in and asked for references all the time.
Right.
So you get people coming in asking hey, kids, teens, or my husband or something like that. I'm trying to find stuff for them. So it's really what they're into. A lot of times it seemed a lot easier to get people into independent series instead of pushing them towards Marvel or DC, because not everybody is into superheroes. And I know a lot of times when kids of that age, whenever they hear comic books, they think immediately superheroes.
Right.
So it's and that's kind of something that I've done with my family as well. For Christmas presents and stuff, is I'll find something that I think they'll be interested in and I'll buy them. The big one that I got my mom into actually, because she was never really huge into comic books, was the Mouse Guard series by David Peterson.
Yeah.
It's beautiful art. It's essentially a world where animals have their own medieval kingdoms and stuff, and they have to go through all of the dangers of the natural predators and stuff like that. And it's just the art is beautiful in it, and it's got a really nice story to it. Other than that, Skells and Scoundrels, Craig and I will tell you, up and down, you can literally get that for just about anybody, and as long as they're into fantasy, they'll more than likely like it.
Right.
As Sean said, there's lots of manga out there, and it's printed in Shonen Jump in Japan, which is for pretty much all ages. So I know plenty of big age gaps that all enjoy the stuff that they put out there. As far as novels go, I just read a series not too long ago. It's called The Shades of Magic by V.E. Schwab, and it's just a trilogy. And I don't know if you're into that kind of magic and alternate reality type thing. I thought it was a really good series, and it's not difficult to pick up because I know for me before, whenever I would have trouble getting novels, it's chapters were too long or something like that, and like didn't want to find a stopping space in the middle of a chapter or anything, but they do a really good job of like splitting up like what character you're following and like how long the chapters and stuff are. So I'd highly recommend it. They're actually about to come out with comics form too, so
that's
that
very
also
cool.
be
Yeah, I didn't know that. That's awesome.
Yeah,
you've been raving about those novels, man. That's cool. It's going to get a comic adaptation.
Yeah. V. Schwab's been tweeting about it like crazy lately, but yeah. So those are my picks.
So I have a few suggestions for kids. Well, kids, young adults, period. Usually when they're having a hard time reading, it's because they're that group of segment of the population that can't picture what they're reading, which is why comic books are so good for those people. Because number one, it's a short read. You can go to the store, go to the comic book store, and you can pick up a comic find one that catches your interest. Just looking at the covers, you can read it in 10 minutes and be done. And it gives you the visualization for yourself, which will help you develop that in your reading. I would always suggest the Harry Potter books to people, especially the first few, because they're smaller books. They're easy reads. You can probably get through them in a couple of days as a kid reading on your spare time. The Scholastic book fairs at schools, they have really good smaller books that kids can get through and read quickly. I always encourage that sort of thing because a lot of times when kids don't want to read, it's because they lose interest or something else catches their attention. They can't focus for a 3-hour period. But if you give them a book that they can read in an hour, which a lot of those Scholastic books you can, they might sit down and do that.
It builds their confidence.
Right.
Oh, absolutely.
So to me, use the resources that the school gives you, which are the things like the Scholastic book fairs. And again, books like Harry Potter that are kind of for everybody, but geared towards young adults and children. And then comic books are a great resource if you're having a hard time visualizing.
Yeah. Yep. So I want to close this question down with making 2 points. There's one word that all 4 of us kept saying, and it's interest. And as I was sitting here, like this idea just kind of came into my head. You don't try to sell a kid's interest on a book. Try to sell them a book for their interest. There's books on every topic, like Jerry said. If your kid is into football, there are books for kids who like football. If your kid is into manga and anime, there are books for that. If your kid is into G.I. Joe, if your kid is into cowboys, if your kid is into princesses, if your kid is into anything, you match a book to their interest. You don't try to get their interest in a book. And that way they're more apt to kind of blend in with it. You know what I mean?
Is Judy Blume still a thing?
I don't know, but it should be. I love those books.
Yeah, I mean, Judy Blume had some great books for kids, you know?
And hey, kid, you're into football? Here, check out this Southern Bastards comic. It's pretty great.
I knew you thought
damn, Skippy. But the second thing is, if and this is geared more towards kids, if you want your kids to read, don't give them a thing to read and go send them all into the room. Kids emulate adults. They think the things that adults are cool. Read to your kids. Sit down with them. Your niece, your nephew, doesn't have to be yours. Ask parental permission before you go like to a playground, but don't be that guy. But go read to them. Sit them down and read with them, because when they see you doing it, they think that it's awesome. Because what do kids want to be? They want to be grown. They want to be seen as adults. And if you take the time to invest in those kids and read with them on a subject that they already have a prior interest in, they are more apt to learn that behavior and to emulate it on their own.
And start buying your kids books at a young age.
Yeah, for sure.
Start buying it before they can read, when they can just sit there and look at the pictures, because it is a learned, acquired thing. Mm-hmm. If they don't have access to them when they're in those developmental years, they're never going to want to pick it up on their own.
Yeah.
But buy your kids books.
Actually, I'll do this real quick, then we can move on. I saw a great thing online where someone had shown a woman and her child reading together, and she said someone commented on it, like, "Oh, your kid likes to read. How do you get your kid to read?" Well, you just need to remember that kids don't listen to us; they watch us.
Yep, that was
an amazing way
of funny story about Tanya. When she was 2 years old, her mother was pregnant with our youngest daughter, and we were at the doctor appointment, and Tanya had a book that I had read to her so many times. It was called Are You My Mother?
Yeah.
And she knew that book by rote memorization. She didn't know how to read, but she sat there and she flipped and she knew what every page said. Mm-hmm. And we're sitting there in the waiting room, and she's quote unquote reading this book to me. And the lady sitting across the aisle was like, "You buy that kid any book she wants. That's amazing. She can read." But I mean, if you read to them, they start to learn it. They, just from that memorization, she really was kind of reading, even though it was just memorization. So.
Nice. All right. So part 2 of Tamara's duo questions. What reading material led you down your path of geekery? This is always fun. It's always get nostalgic on these things. You want to start us off, Jerry?
Yeah. So mine that really got me started on it was I used to go and stay at my grandparents' like on the weekends a lot, and my grandfather was always like really big in the comics section of the newspapers. So I would just wake up early with him and read through the funny pages.
That's awesome.
So I think that's had a really big part in me getting into comics.
I have a very similar experience with that. Man.
I've actually, for some reason, always been a reader.
Mm-hmm.
Like, my parents gave us plenty of books just, from our different age levels that we could read. And we had these Disney storybooks, which were just the cartoon. Again, some were interested in, make them read about it. They were Disney storybooks that were just like the cartoons, but in book form. And not watching the show, I'm reading the show.
Mm-hmm.
So I always start with that. And I'm going to say, though, eventually, as a kid, you start getting older, you can go out more and play out in the woods as kids used to do. My old man rant. And video games took over.
Get off my lawn.
But what got me definitely back in was the Garfield comic strip collections.
Yeah.
I think that is what transitioned me into comic books. Because I would want to get a hold of any Garfield book I could get. And I used to read the shit out of those. Then eventually just staying amongst the comic strips, moved on to comic books.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm going to show my age here. But the books...
The hammer and the chisel?
Yeah. You're going to silent movies now?
Yeah. So I would say the books that I remember that probably had the most profound effect on me as far as... And I'm not talking comics, but as books and leading me into this fantasy geekdom life that I live. The Hobbit by Tolkien. And The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe by C.S. Lewis.
Nice.
Those were books that at a very young age, I wanted to go to Narnia. I wanted to live in Middle Earth, it was...
I thought you were going to say something about William Shakespeare, and I was going to ask you what he was like whenever he was born. Was he a pretty chill dude?
Yeah, he was young when I was born. So.
He was still just coming out of it, so he wasn't really that big yet.
I'm really a vampire. I've been around for ages.
Been around for a hot minute.
Makes so much sense now.
Lordy. Okay, so for me, I grew up out in rural Arkansas. We were literally 20 miles from town. There was like 2 kids in my neighborhood, but it was a 10-minute bicycle ride to get to them. We didn't have satellite or cable or anything like that, and cartoons only played early in the morning. So my mom, who is now a teacher, at that point in time was a teacher's aide, she was huge into reading. I went into to preschool knowing how to read. So a lot of times when a lot of the kids, they learn how to read, I was already reading by that point. And so, like I said earlier, books that tied into the shows that I liked or into the pop culture things that I was really into really got me reading. I've spoken about my love of gargoyles before. Scholastic book fairs, like Craig was talking about, you could buy these gargoyle novellas that would give you an adventure from the gargoyles' perspective. I was huge into Goosebumps. I love those R.L. Stine books that gave you these really scary stories. I loved Steven Spielberg as a kid, and actually in first grade tried to read his autobiography, which was probably a mistake. But so reading
That's
about...
the most Caleb thing I ever heard.
I immediately regret this decision.
It was a good book. Whoever made at the time we were doing those, I forget what they called it, but when you read a book, you had to take a test on the computer and like they would test your thing on it. Whoever made that test was stupid because they didn't put like important questions on it. They just put they picked a page and chose a random fact. So I didn't do well on the test, but the book was amazing. And they should fix that because it's stupid. Anyway.
Also a Caleb thing.
But yeah, seeing like these figures in real life really got me to read. As when I got into middle school, Harry Potter was coming out. Read all the Harry Potter books, which Harry Potter books led me to my love of Terry Brooks. This fantasy world, magic, and things like that.
Harry Potter is a gateway drug to fantasy.
It really is. It really is. So yeah, that's what led me.
It is fair.
And then, we talked about this in one of our first episodes. I got braces somewhere in middle school, and we would drive the 2-hour round trip, but the hour drive from Curry County, where I grew up, to Little Rock once a month, so I could get my teeth metal worked on. And part of my mom would always stop by the mall. And at the time in the mall, there was a Walden Books. And in this Walden Books, they had a spinner rack. And I got to make friends while she was going off to all the stores shopping. The people at the store kind of kept an eye on me, and they let me just sit down and read the comics, even though they knew I wasn't going to buy all of them. Because
Back when you could do that, now they'd call the cops on your parents.
And so that got me into comics. And that's when I first started collecting. So, yeah, those are mine.
I want to give another quick little thing, which it got me later in life, but it kind of synced me in for a certain genre. And as Craig talked about reading The Hobbit and all that. Actually, the Final Fantasy video games, which are a turn-based RPG style video game, which is honestly more reading than anything because it's dialogue heavy and story driven instead of just running and jumping like in a Mario game. That was the reading material. I mean, it was like reading a novel. So those also kept me hooked in my preteen youth.
Very cool. All right, so yesterday we all
Reborn you, Derek?
No.
Yeah, he's playing with his. He's playing with his Venom toy.
I have a thing in front of me. Leave me alone.
He's distracted by the shiny object. We'll get him to read later. Yesterday we traveled down to SpaCon, like we said earlier, a little local convention in Hot Springs, Arkansas. Had a really good time. So I thought we would kind of recap that a little bit. Tell you some of the stuff we picked up, some of the stuff we saw. I saw 3 people that I really cared about. Their names were Craig, Jerry, and Sean.
Oh, damn it! You can't take my answer, you asshole.
So I actually put up a video on our YouTube channel. So we've been talking about doing some YouTube content. I figured out how to make part of that work yesterday. So all of my answers are on there.
Okay.
And you should go watch that. And hopefully, I don't know if you guys are going to put one up. You don't have to by any means. But it was just fun.
Since I'm an old curmudgeon and not a young whippersnapper like you guys, I'm just going to read mine on the podcast.
Just read them on the podcast, buddy.
Arvell Jones, who was one of the co-creators of Misty Knight, was there. He's a really cool guy. We didn't actually find him till we were almost ready to leave.
Yeah, it was hard to figure out where he was.
I got some Batman art from him. Really happy with that art. Just some art he had done and in his book, which is the way I've started buying my art now. Was able to find X-Men 5, 6, and 10, which I'm really happy about. Got Michael Berryman, who, if you don't know him, he's you would certainly recognize his face. He was in One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest, The Hills Have Eyes, Devil's Rejects, among many other horror movies.
He's been in a ton.
Yeah, I mean, you would definitely recognize him. He took something that a lot of people would have taken as a negative, being born the way he was born, and has played it into a magnificent career. So, got a couple of old spooky comic books, Spooky the Ghost. They were real high grade, and you don't find kids' books in high grade, so pick those up for cheap. And Kingdom, an original graphic novel, Sparrow Comics put out. I do not remember the gentleman's name that was the writer on it, but he did a shout out for us, but I can't think of his name.
Have him. Yeah, he did an opener for us. We're going to do it on one of the later shows.
Yeah, cool. And we're going to try and book him for an interview later. The books look really cool. They even have action figures for the Kingdom books. Yeah, they did a Kickstarter fund for it, and they've actually got some bigger than they did some Star Wars size, and now they're doing some He-Man size. So. Just kind of cool to support somebody that's funding or crowdfunding their own books and getting them out there to people. So.
Yeah, for sure.
Let's go down the list there. First one you put it was who was there.
Mm-hmm.
Well, there was only one reason I was able to drag my wife to a convention, which is so hard to do. That is the one, the only, the fantastic Pam Grier.
man.
She was amazing. She was super friendly, super talkative. And only she could open up a panel about talking about how at 69 your orgasms last 7 hours. Like, she was great. She we met at her table first, and we got a picture taken with her, and Vanetta chatted her up as I get shy around people I care about. So talked a little bit about her, and Pam Grier made fun of my wife's height, and that was great. Super nice, super fun. Probably the funnest panel I've ever been to.
I love Pam Grier.
She is awesome.
I've said this, like, Pam Grier might be the one person, like the one woman who I would actively go straight for. She's gorgeous.
Yes.
Super gorgeous.
Oh my, yes. And I'm actually going to go look into her autobiography, I think, because she was telling some stories from her life and from auditions and stuff, and super fucking interesting. She put out an autobiography a few years back.
Nice.
Should look into it. I think I'm going to try and find it. What did I buy?
Mm-hmm.
Surprised absolutely no one. I found Savage Dragon back issues. Still trying to fill out that complete run. If donations are always accepted. If you see us at COMICNews this November, bring me your Savage Dragon. All the Savage Dragon. What did I want to buy that I saw up there? I got what I saw. I got what I wanted from what I saw up there. I wanted more Savage Dragon, though. I'm still missing quite a chunk. No, there were a lot of cool. So a ton of vendors, a lot of different art and toys and plush stuff, everything, pop vinyls. All that was up there. I wanted to buy it all. I'm super broke. And what did I see? Shit ton of cosplay, which is great. I know some people get annoyed when cosplay is big and elaborate and blocking your path to the vendor you want to get to.
I don't know why you're looking at me.
Look, A, you're across the table from me. B, I'm quoting you word for word.
Did you see the giant dinosaur?
I did see the giant dinosaur. That
was blocking the road for everybody.
Yeah. I also saw the Star Wars marching line that kept getting run in front of everybody.
Yeah, they were just as annoying.
Just that lovely con experience. But saw a lot of cool people, a lot of good friends that we always run into. And it was a damn good, first time I've ever been to SpaCon. It was a damn good convention. I was really impressed.
I never thought I would hear Craig use the word annoying in reference to something Star Wars, but
yeah. Brian almost knocked Darth Vader over because Darth Vader was getting impatient. we were blocking the parade. Fuck him.
That's funny.
So who was there? There was a lot of fucking people there. It was like I couldn't take 10 steps without seeing somebody I knew. And I know it annoyed Brian and Sean and them because we would be walking down an aisle and I would see somebody and stop to talk, and eventually they just got tired of waiting on me, so they just kept moving. So we split the party a lot of times because of that.
No, we left Jared. Let's call it what it is.
They abandoned me. No, yeah, we were there. Southern Park Geek all.
We were.
It's a great time. Michael Berryman. So kind of funny. I don't really know him from his big things.
Yeah.
All of his Hills Have Eyes and all that. The movie that I know him from, and I'm pretty sure Sean might be the only one at the table that's even heard of it. I don't know if you've seen it. Guyver. That's based off of the anime. Yeah.
Was he in it?
Yep.
I don't remember. It's been a long time.
He was one of the big bad guys in it, and I watched that movie so many fucking times as a kid. It's essentially like a tokusatsu show, one of those live action heroes that they do. They did a manga series.
Power Rangers. Just say Power Rangers.
They did a manga series and then an anime series, and Mark Hamill was actually in it too.
Oh wow!
And it was the funniest thing because the cover of the DVD was, or the VHS at the time, for you kids out there, was actually half of it was the Guyver's face, the suit. The other half was Mark Hamill. The funny thing about it is Mark Hamill didn't even play that fucking character. He was just a bit role in that movie.
Well, of course you're going to use Mark Hamill to sell it.
Yeah. So I didn't get to talk to the guy or get anything signed by him because he usually had people over there or he was out doing a panel or something. What did I buy? I was mostly spider-centric whenever we went up there. I was really had my hopes set on a Amazing Spider-Man 654 and 654.1, and that's the first appearance of Agent Venom. They had plenty of comic book booths, but unfortunately none of them had them. So that's also going to be what did you want to buy? Yeah. What I did buy though, I got from a friend of ours that actually runs COMICNews. They had a really good deal on all the Amazing Spider-Man issues of Spider-Verse. And then because I haven't read that, I bought the hardcover of Spider-Verse from a friend of ours. it was water damage. It's going to be a reader copy anyway. It was originally $75. He gave it to me for $10. So I also kind of jumped down the rabbit hole on some Marvel Legends figures.
Mm-hmm.
I've enjoyed them in the past. I tried not to be a huge collector because I don't have room for all of it. But they just released another like Spider-Man line that has a Venom Build-A-Figure, and it kind of started because I saw our friends Tori and Chris from Rebirth Collectibles, and they had a Spider-Ham figure, and it had an alternate head for the Venom figure that's like a warthog, and I could not buy that, so I went and got that. I also ran into some other friends of mine. It was a regular at Capt who would travel on business like Caleb, and that's how I ended up meeting Roger. So I ended up meeting this guy's girlfriend, fiance, or wife. I can't remember. I think there's at least girlfriend, boyfriend. Anyway, whenever I first walked in, I knew she looked familiar, and then I saw him with her, and I was like, that's where. But her name's Nikki Dawes. You can actually find her on Twitter as Nikki Dawes Draws, and Dawes is Dawes. But she does some really beautiful work. I think most of her pieces right now are characters from Critical Role. I bought a piece from her while I was up there, so I'll probably be posting about that later. But yeah, a lot of great stuff. I really need that Venom or the Amazing Spider-Man 64, so has that hit us up. What did I see? I just wrote like nerds and exclamation
nerds, and they're the good nerds because we cosplayed a certain podcast characters at Arkansas Comic Con, and we had one person recognize us. That was the con we talked about where we were too dumb to get pictures of ourselves in costume. Right. This time, we actually had quite a few people recognize us. It was very cool.
And asking for our pictures. Yeah, there was one point where I was eating Mexican food, and I had a guy that was walking past me to go to the bathroom, and he was like, "Hey, Sweet Duck cosplay," and I was like, "Yes." You.
Wait, I thought y'all were a lumberjack and a lesbian.
I'm whatever you need me to be. Yeah.
What's up, Greg?
One more thing.
It's just you and I now, buddy.
Two-man podcast. Yes. One more thing that I bought that I forgot to mention from our lovely friends Brian and Vicky Stewart, Phantasm magazine. I got the Linnea Quigley covers for the Phantasm 2, number 2,
Phantasm
presents number 2, the Linnea Quigley special.
Yeah, I picked that up as well. Yeah. I do want to say the one thing that I didn't buy that I wanted to, that was the thing I did, there was a first appearance of Shang-Chi at a really good price. I just wasn't ready to pull the trigger on that much money because, I'm buying everything with student loan money right now.
Yeah, the one thing I did, there were 2 things that I thought about buying, but one of them was just priced too high. It was Giant Size X-Men number 1. He wanted probably 30% more than it was worth. And then Jimmy Dyer had a copy of Amazing Spider-Man number 40 signed by Stan Lee and John Romita. Yeah, I just couldn't pull the trigger on the price on it. It was a fair price. I just, with Tanya's wedding coming up and stuff, it was like, I just need to wait on that for a minute.
Well, if you'll have Memphis like that weekend after, I think.
Yeah. The weekend before. Yeah.
So I'm looking forward to that. Well, guys, are y'all ready to talk about some comics? Some actual comics, not some back issues, but stuff that came out this week.
We've been talking about
new books. New books came out. Let's get some other covered and comment.
We'll do that. And I am happy to announce my book of the week because motherfucking Batman is back on my book of the week list. If y'all have missed me talking about it every damn week, hopefully it's going to start continuing back up again. This week it was Batman number 55, written by the great Tom King. Art, amazing art in this issue, which I know I haven't really covered who's been drawing in the past because really wasn't impressed. But Tony S. Daniel is now on the book, and the artwork has been amazing. Inks were also done by Tony S. Daniel, as well as, I can't read my own handwriting, but it was, I believe it's Danny Mickey.
Mm-hmm.
Mickey.
That sounds right.
Yeah. This book is just an amazing dialogue between Batman and Nightwing. Going back into just their history, just talking about, because the Robins have appeared in the book, but obviously he hasn't had a Robin hanging with him full time in a long time. So it's kind of cool to see Dick just completely bring up talking about the old days and honestly fucking with Batman, talking about how old he is. You can tell he's trying to cheer him up. This is still coming off the Batman after the effects of Catwoman not coming to the wedding. And you tell, like, to me, it came across like he's trying to kind of cheer Batman up as cheerful as Batman gets. Cut in between that, because they would do a page of someone who, like, if I'm not remembering correctly, they never named him in the book itself. You see a man coming in through
Customs.
Customs, thank you. Coming in, they'll just show him coming through Customs, and then cut back to Batman and Nightwing. And going on from just, Nightwing assistant, he used to call him chum all the time, and he denied it. And it's like, I don't want to give away too much of the dialogue, because it's an amazing read. It's lighthearted. But then it cuts back to the same gentleman who came through Customs, now going in and purchasing a gun quickly and legally from a gun store. Mm-hmm. Got back to more dialogue of them fighting, what they call the Phantom Pharaoh or something. It felt like a very Batman 66 name for a character, but it looked like they were fighting mummies. And again, Tom King's writing just hooks you in to the characters, to the people. It makes you care when it's not a courtroom drama. So this is kind of going back, to me, it feels a lot going back to the old ways.
Yeah.
And then by the end of the issue, and I'm not going to give away the ending, the guy who purchased the gun, you find out it's a sniper rifle, and he shoots a major character. I'm not going to say who. Go buy this book if you've been kind of getting cooled on Batman, much like I have. I've been buying them, but the stories haven't been doing much for me. I think this is kicking off something major, and I think it's going to be really good.
I have theories on who this character might be, and it goes into some old like Batman lore.
Yeah.
So there was a character way back in the day who, one of the things in the dialogue of this book, the individual who comes through Customs and purchases the gun, he speaks with an accent.
Right.
You have to look for it, but it's there. There was a character way back in the day known as KG Beast. He was a Russian villain, an agent. I'm not exactly sure what he is. He was a beast. The dude cut off his own arm to escape from Batman.
I think. Oh, that's something I forgot to mention.
Yeah.
Showing the guy, he is missing.
He's got a prosthetic.
So I think you're onto something.
So I think Tom King loves these old school characters. Like
he does.
He's kind of Kite Man.
Hell yeah.
So I really think it's that. I think it's KG Beast.
To me, this is like I said, it's not been bad, but to me, Batman hasn't been as interesting as quality as the earlier issues. This is feeling back on track for me, at least. I'm excited for it. It was a great read. I enjoyed it, and I can't wait to see the next issue.
Yeah.
And you talked about it. The art was just beautiful in this book. There were some spreads in this book.
Dude.
Yeah. It's just unbelievable. And the dialogue.
Yeah. Just on point, man.
I mean, Dick Grayson is the best Batman. He's the best Batman and the best Robin.
Right. Absolutely.
All right. So, my book this week. What if I told you guys that there is a book out there where Thor Odinson and Wolverine get in a bar fight?
I'd believe you.
And then Thor the Allfather fights Old Man Phoenix, which is Old Man Logan in the Phoenix form, because Thor remade Earth. And what if I told you in that same book that Thor's granddaughters are fighting Fin Fang Foom? Mm-hmm. And then what if I told you that Ego the Living Planet was fighting a worm?
I would ask you, first off, if there was some kind of like 16th century aristocrat in that.
That's the only thing this book is missing.
Okay.
Because not only does it have all those things, it has Victor Von Doom as the Iron Fist, the Starbrand Supreme, and the Master of Mystic coming to destroy Earth.
I know what book you're talking about, and it was amazing.
This book, it has so much in it, and you would have thought that it was a Bendis last book on a Marvel book before he bailed the DC. Mm-hmm. But this book is Thor #5, with Jason Aaron and Christian Ward doing the art. This book, like I said, the only thing it's missing is Leonardo da Vinci. He put so much into this book, and you don't even feel like it's intentionally crowding all of this.
It doesn't feel cramped at all.
You've got so much going on, and basically this book it starts out with a fight in our current-ish times because it's regular Wolverine, it's regular Logan, not Old Man Logan. And of course, he's just coming back. So we don't know if this is pre or post or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But Thor and Logan are sitting in a bar talking about things, and Logan becoming a god. And Logan's like, I don't want to live forever, man. And so some people break into the bar, going to rob the bar. They pick the wrong fucking bar because Thor and Wolverine are sitting there. And so then time skip to end of millennium, which end of time, basically,
right.
Millions of years BC or AD is just the complete counter of what Jason Aaron is doing in Avengers, where he's going back and telling us the first Ghost Rider story when he's riding a woolly mammoth. Mm-hmm. So Jason Aaron is spanning from the beginning of Earth's time to post-Earth recreated time. Because what you find out is, at some point, Wolverine became the Phoenix.
Yeah.
He is now out there destroying worlds. He's doing all the things Phoenix do. And Thor is trying to get him to come back and help him because there's a crisis on Earth. And Logan's like, I'm going back to destroy Earth. What are you talking about? You shouldn't have remade the shithole. And Thor throws his hammer through Wolverine's chest and does not kill him, of course. So now you have old man Phoenix with a giant hole. And then, of course, you find out all this other great stuff I told you about. This book is so much fun, guys. Go read this book. If you haven't been reading Thor, if you've been off of it because the art didn't sell you, Christian Ward's doing the guest art on this run, on this arc. I don't know if they're permanently replacing Demundo or not, or if it's just this arc. But if you've been holding off on the Thor book, this is a perfect time to get back.
I was going to say, you haven't been hot on Del Mundo.
I haven't. The art's been hit or miss. And mostly I think it's the coloring has been oversaturated. But I think that this book, they've corrected a lot of things. And the story, it's just so fun because it really, like I said, you have Ego the Living Planet fighting a worm. Mm-hmm. I mean, just go buy the book. You will not be disappointed.
It was really good.
The funny thing that hit me whenever you started showing us this, because you didn't really give us any context whenever you were sending us these images. Like, there's like 3 series going on right now that could have been.
Yeah.
And I really love it because it's like we're getting like 8 different what ifs like a month before the what ifs even start. So I was like, I know that wasn't Soldier Supreme because I read that. Maybe it is a different Infinity Warps, or a secret.
Nope, it's just 5 million years AD.
I just love that there are all these different takes that they're doing on heroes and stuff right now. That like the what if style thing.
Well, Fing Fang Foom for me is one of my favorite. I'm going to say villains, monsters, whatever you want to call them in the Marvel universe. I love the fact that he has been in a couple of books lately. And, even this, he's still alive in the recreated Earth. So
I just love that Jason Aaron is basically throwing Marvel into a blender and then just playing with what comes out.
Between him and Donny Cates right now in Marvel, it's just amazing.
Yeah, it really is.
What Jason Aaron's doing with Avengers and what he's doing with Thor, so much fun right now.
Well, he's playing with the characters that are essentially you can make them totems. It's doing so much fun stuff with it. So good.
Yeah, and the fact that Thor, I mean, we talked about this yesterday. We don't even know what Thor's real power set is, guys. All we ever see him as a brute. He remade Earth.
Yeah.
So we don't even know what, I mean, they just portray him as a stand. Obviously, he's the most powerful dude in the Marvel Universe. I mean...
it was funny because I knew you were really excited about the Wolverine book that came out this week.
Yeah, Return of Wolverine was a lot of fun.
When you first sent that image of like him as the Phoenix Force, I was like, "Is this how his new power works?"
That's why his claws are on fire.
Yeah, I know.
Now we know. Christ. Oh my God! Now we know. He's the Phoenix Force. That's why he's back. We just solved it. That's why his
getting Phoenix powers. Yeah.
That's why his claws are on.
Fuck Wolverine.
That's pretty much what Thor said.
Right. I'm siding with Thor on this one.
In the other corner of Marvel, mentioning Donny Cates, as you did, they finished up their first storyline of Venom. And holy shit. Like, it was fantastic. I think Donny Cates had shared some panels of it from Ryan Stegman earlier this week, and I was like, oh my god, when are we getting this? And then I realized that it was this week, and I'm sort of, yep, this is happening. So the storyline for it has been this like dark ancient god showed back up, and turns out that he's the creator of the symbiotes. They had a one-shot issue called Venom, which kind of explained the origin of it and how like he used to have this big dragon thing that was Grendel terrorizing like humanity and stuff, and then Thor basically put him 10 feet under. Long story short, S.H.I.E.L.D. gets a hold of the frozen remains of the Grendel. They ended up using it for some of their Vietnam soldiers. The story picked up with one of them, Rex Strickland, hitting up Eddie Brock to try and help him with all this. Shit went south really quick because you're fighting a god, and Venom ended up discovering that he has more abilities than what he thought. So it turns out that this Grendel, it needed all of the other symbiotes that were originally it to be complete and go back to the Clintar planet and essentially just take control of everything there and then rule all known space. Rex Strickland was the last symbiote. Like, he ended up losing his humanity a long time ago, and the symbiote consumed him, basically. So Rex Strickland is this last piece of this Grendel. So he actually combined with the Venom symbiote in the last issue to help Eddie fight, Null and this monster and everything. So the issue starts off with them in this warehouse that Rex has had, and he's like arming himself to the teeth with all these weapons that Rex has stockpiled. And it's like the image for it is so badass. It's like Donny Cates was like, hey, remember that thing that they did a while back where we gave Venom guns? Let's do that, but let's make it look fucking nasty.
Yeah.
And just like insane. So he's like strapped to the teeth with all of these anti-symbiote. And then after that, he reconnects to the hive mind so that this thing would come looking for him. And we get this amazing double page spread of like this giant dragon attacking him on the top of a building. And it's fucking...
It's Venom fighting Grendel.
And I actually didn't mention it earlier, but it's Donny Cates' writer, Ryan Stegman's penciler, J.P. Mayer's inker, and Frank Martin is color artist. And Jesus Christ, the art in this book was too sick.
Yeah. Ryan Stegman's real, man.
He's killing it on that book.
So you basically have Eddie and the Venom symbiote trying to fend him off while you have Rex Strickland taking all these weapons that he has stashed all over his body and like fucking him up. They toss these like sonic grenades down the dragon's throat and basically disperse it all over the place. So then you just have Null, and they're fighting him. Null thinks that he got the suit off of him. And he's like, "Oh, your symbiote's mine now." And Eddie's like, "It's not a symbiote. It's a coffin." And then you see all these like grenades all over him light up and just fucking fry him. And I guess they kind of showed off a new weakness to this character, because it's like lightning and loud like noises and everything, and it weakens him. And where they ended up whenever they before he did this was there was a furnace that they used to like make steel beams and stuff. Mm-hmm. So Rex Strickland, before Null could kill Eddie and complete his job, Rex Strickland's symbiote self wrapped around him to trap him, and then got Eddie to push him into the furnace. But like he was trying to get the fuck out of the furnace, and Eddie had to push it back. And of course, since the Venom symbiote, like all the symbiotes their weakness is fire, it was going off of him, and he was pushing it back with his bare back, like this like heavy ass steel door with fire shooting up behind him. and he was catching on fire, and the symbiote didn't want him to die. And, you know, spoilers. Eddie ends up getting the symbiote to just go in him and basically turn off all of his pain receptors so he can finish this job. And it ends with him on fire, collapsing on the floor. The symbiote is essentially just turning like an inky mess, and by the end of it, it seems like they completed their task, but they're both really fucked up. I mean, it can almost be dead, but this is the first storyline that Donny Cates did in the series, so we know that's not true. But it was insane. Like, it was a really great story from beginning to end. The way that they Donny Cates made new stuff. Craig and I were talking about it earlier, how he made new stuff for Venom's backstory and origin and everything, without changing anything.
Yeah, he retconned it without retconning.
Yeah.
By adding to
the next cover of it really kind of sort of tells you maybe what might happen, and it's like Venom's face, and it kind of almost has like a null like symbiote washing over it. So I'm thinking some of the null consciousness might be connected with, because whenever you're connected to a symbiote, it connects with like your mind and everything like that. And if something really fucked up happens to it while it's still connected, all that hits you too, because that's what happened in Amazing Spider-Man when Spider-Man destroyed the Carnage symbiote and it was still connected to Norman Osborn and made him fucking crazy. So I feel like some of that null consciousness is going to be connected in Eddie's.
I don't think that's what made Norman Osborn crazy.
Well, it made him think that he was Cletus Cassidy.
Yeah, I mean, it made him crazier.
Yeah, but I mean, that's what they mentioned at the end of that. Yeah, and it was, but yeah. So I mean, from beginning to end.
First arc's done, and it was fantastic.
Yeah.
Oh, I absolutely love the book. If Batman didn't just finally come back into it, might have been we might have been fighting over Book of the Week. It was damn good.
Yeah, I was wondering if you were going to talk about it.
I wanted to, but also like I said, Batman coming back into for me coming back into a proper way, I had to talk about it.
Yeah,
but no, fantastic book, emotional ending, well written, amazing. I also just want to say, you remember when Venom was just a fucking suit angry at Peter Parker?
Right.
Yeah. Picked up in Battle World or whatever.
So much with that character.
It's come a long way. So.
And like I said, like we were saying, he retconned Venom's story by adding to instead of doing a retcon. Fanboys can't be mad going, this isn't my Venom. It is 100% your Venom. It just now has more backstory. You understand why he is the way he is.
Oh, and just a note about the art, like you said, Ryan's segment is insane. But this book is it shows you a way that you can do sound effects and incorporate it into the art instead of having it just like something that was, layered over it. Because a lot of the sound effects in this book they're tangible, they're items, they're rubble that form into it, and it's just beautiful.
They're textured and they're crumbling and stuff like that, like with whatever's going on, and it was a fantastic book. I had a little bit of difficulty deciding because they had Soldier Supreme come out, and that was pretty cool. And then Edge of Spider-Geddon 3 came out with that Uncle Ben storyline and everything, and that was pretty great. But yeah, this book took me.
I think Jerry's trying to challenge you for like the biggest Spider-Man fan on the podcast.
Well, he's a symbiote fan.
Yeah. So I mean, and how I said before, I'm not necessarily a Spider-Man fan, but I'm a fan of all of the side characters that has given us. So.
He's got an amazing rogue gallery. Just like the reason people love Flash isn't so much because of Flash; it's because he has an amazing rogue gallery.
People love Flash.
I mean that's my biggest pull is I love his villains. Yeah, and Spider-Man's got some really great ones.
Yeah, we're going to get Thrag the Hunter.
Yeah.
Well, I did not have a hard time deciding what book I wanted to read this week. As soon as I read the first 2 pages of the book that I chose, I was hooked. Like, just in. Like, throw it up, it's done. Mark it on the list. I love this book. So the book that I want to talk about this week is MCMLXXV. And if you want to brush up on your Roman numerals or just go to Google like I did, it is 1975. And that's what this book is. This book is so 1975, it's not even funny. So it's written by Joe Casey. It's drawn by N. McEwen. It is colored by Brad Simpson, and it was lettered by Russ Wooten. Great team. Really, really fun. This book is funky in the best kind of way. Like I said, it's 1970, so it takes place. I don't know if it ever comes out and says it's in New York, but it's New York. It's completely a. Well, it's kind of fitting that we met Pam Grier yesterday because this book is totally a blaxploitation era type thing. It starts off with a radio personality, as a lot of those old movies will, where she's coming over the airwaves and they're listening to her on the radio. And her name is Prefect Patterson. She's a night shift DJ on the radio who is threaded through the whole book as this kind of like a watchtower figure. You kind of pick up on this towards the end of the book, but what she's doing is she is dropping clues to people who might be in the know, quote unquote, about the things that go bump in the night. Specifically, people like the main character of this book, whose name is Pamela. Now, Pamela is a cabbie. She is, she's also something more. So in the story, just to give you kind of an idea of what she looks like, she is, as I said, blaxploitation era. She is a very curvy African-American woman with a little bit of an afro. She cute. She real cute. So she picks up a fare and is taking him where he needs to go when they are beset upon by ninjas, of course, because that's what's going to happen, man. I'm telling you, it's very much in this vein. Wu-Tang members are going to read this book and come on themselves. So now, I don't know about you, but if I get ambushed by late night ninjas, I'm going to make a Yui. I'm turning it around and getting the fuck out of there and calling it a night, but not Pamela. No, she guns the cab. Once they're there, she tells the guy in the back, hey, hold tight, don't go anywhere. She grabs a tire iron, kicks open the door, sends another group of these motherfuckers flying, and gets out. But this isn't just any like special kind of tire iron. This is apparently like the tire iron of destiny or something. Wow. Because as soon as she gets out of the car, it starts glowing like it's a lightning, like it's empowered. Like it's energized. There's some stuff that's going on, and she proceeds to kick much ass. Like she is apparently just I don't even, like, you don't really know what she is. They get to the last ninja standing, and she has some back and forth with him, and what you find out is there's some history here, which you kind of knew. But he tells her that all of these powers are kind of aligned against her, and her bravado is not going to be able to save her. Her street smarts, her abilities, they're not going to save her. They're coming for her. So she promptly puts the tire iron through his head. As you do.
As you do.
She ain't playing. The sun comes up. Pamela heads home. Her man is hanging out in their apartment. He's spinning some records because it's 1975. He asks her about work, but she doesn't want to talk about it. The job is the job. Home is home. She's not trying to bring that stress home into her life.
She doesn't want to talk about ninjas.
No, she wants to fuck is what she wants to do, and they do. Really, really cool little sequence. There's no nudity shown. It's all in silhouettes, but really, really well done sequential storytelling. But fucking makes you sleepy. So at least for me, it does. So after they do the do and fall asleep, she has this dream. In this dream, little Pam, little teeny tiny Pam, is on a rooftop with her uncle, who is basically grooming her and raising her. I guess she was raised by her uncle. And they're talking about how she's got to pay attention to street names because she's going to be the greatest cabbie ever. Like there's this like apparently there's a lineage of cabbies, and they do this whole thing. And her uncle's name is Damocles. Now, like your eyebrow just raised, and it should be. Now, if the name Damocles doesn't ring a bell, you should Google it, because there is in lore there is something known as the Sword of Damocles. It's kind of this fable, this tale that it's basically about people in power and how they are corrupt. It's going, like, I'm not going to tell you what it is. Go Google that, because it's going to tell you the theme of the book, and there's a lot of stuff that's involved with it. It'll tell you a lot of the illusions, the literary illusions that are at play here. So Pam and Uncle Dan are hanging out, having a good time on the rooftop, talking about being cabbies and doing cabbie stuff and cabbying and everything. When out of nowhere, like, dark lights start flashing, the sky gets really dark, big shadows loom over them, and there are these giant King Kirby style monsters. These Jack Kirby Fourth World crazy drawn style monsters that just black out the sky. And little Pam's like, oh, fuck it, I got this. And she just jumps. And of course, Damocles is like, no. But then Pam wakes up screaming back in her apartment next to her husband. Is it a nightmare? Is it a memory? we don't know. You get a better idea by the end of the book. I love blaxploitation film. I love this era. I grew up in rural Arkansas. One of the coolest things ever would be, for me, is like Brooklyn in the 70s, where people are just street smart. There's all kinds of craziness going on. I think it's rad.
Is Warriors your favorite movie?
A little bit, yeah, kind of, maybe deep down in the darkness.
Acting like he was there in the 70s.
Like you've been here before.
Right here?
No, I was 80s. I'll still bump you.
No, it's okay.
I started the 80s, Craig.
I absolutely love this book. The art is phenomenal. It's got a very... did any of y'all ever read Hip Hop Family Tree?
I did not.
It's like the interior art feels a lot like the cover of Hip Hop Family Tree. It's not the same artist by any means, but it's very much that. It's color. It's kind of a hip hop vibe to it.
It's only a couple of colors in the color palette, but they're so strikingly well done.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
And when you do get other colors, you notice them. This book is so good. It's going places. So this is another. Image puts out new number ones all the time, and some of them are hits, some of them are miss. I think this is a hit. I really do. I'm definitely on board. I'm going to be reading this like it's going out of style because I want to know. I want to know. Who is this cabbie? Who is this? Who is Prefect Perfection or the Prefect Patterson? Who's on the radio? Like, what is this weird undercurrent of supernatural and ninja and urban fantasy kind of thing that's happening? Because I'm sold. I'm sold on this street level stuff.
Well, I read this book as well, and one of the things that I felt it had, even with all the things you said, but almost a little bit of a non-silly Buffy or Angel vibe. Mm-hmm. That this just happens in the city, and there's a group of people that know about it and fight it.
Right.
It's just a thing that happens. Yeah. It's nighttime. It's time to get inside. The monsters are coming out. So that's the way it was. I kind of read it.
It seems so, but they know her history. Like there's some familial attachment there with Damocles and everything else. Like there's a whole undercurrent of history in this book that you don't know yet, but you're going to get. And I've got faith that we're going to get it in amazing ways. Plus giant fucking monsters.
Plus I want the soundtrack.
Yes. Yeah. It's insane. Like they list off just funky, and I say funky because it's funk. They're talking about these funk musicians one after another as she's driving her cab. I also think it's funny that she wrecks the shit out of her cab, but when she takes it back to the garage, then she just like the guy's like, "What the fuck?" And he's like, "I'm your best driver. Shut up." Have me another car by the end of the night. I'm sold. Get this book again. MCMLXXV translates to 1975. I'm going to keep calling it MCMLXXV because that seems like the way to say it.
How many stabbings do you give it?
1975.
Okay.
1,975 stabbings.
I forgot to give the stabbings for Thor. 9 out of 10.
Anybody else want to stab their books?
No.
Nope.
10 out of 10 stabs.
Sweet.
You are not wrong.
Well, all right. Well, dude, all of those are good. Sounds like we all had a really good week.
And I had a big week. I mean, there were still some other really good books. Kick-Ass started their new arc. Mm-hmm. That's kicking off. And Hit Girl still, Lemire's running Hit Girl wrapped up. So not a bad ending. Going to Rome next.
Nice.
Runaways. Good. I mean, I don't know. No, I got that. Good books this week.
Yeah, Avengers was good. There were a lot of good stuff.
Did you get Avengers right?
I did.
How about that scene with Carol and Tony?
Yeah,
yes, sir.
That was almost also book of the week.
Where he found the hot tub.
Right.
Just the fact that they're like stationed in a dead celestial now.
Yeah.
Fucking great. Wakanda is like working on it to make it livable.
Yeah.
And Cap had to start beating the crap out of Robbie Reyes and make sure he's an actually strong Avenger.
His whole dialogue, like internal monologue, whenever he was meeting with him, was fucking great.
Speaking of Cap, Captain America Annual came out, and it was written by Teenie Howard. And as far as I know, that's the first time a woman has written Captain America. And so that's a big thing. And Teenie Howard is also super, super cool. So, all right, well, let's talk about some books that are going to come out next week. Wednesdays, if you're into the comics, you know that Wednesday is New Comic Book Day, and every Wednesday new stuff comes out, and we always have a little bit of an idea of what we are going to pick up and what we want to read. So, Craig, what are you grabbing off the wall this week?
Yeah, this is a book I've pimped a few times, and as soon as I saw it, I knew I was going to pimp it again. It's Hillbilly, the Red-Eyed Witchery from Beyond, issue number 2, which is a little mini-series that's taken place in the Hillbilly world. It's Albatross Funny Books. Eric Powell's writing it. Basically, it's all of the books in the Hillbilly universe, which, if you don't know, you missed the episode where I talked about it. Hillbilly is a witch hunter that has a meat cleaver to kill witches up in the Appalachian Mountains. And it's amazing. He's blind, but not having sight doesn't bother him. He kind of like the blind swordsman, just does it. This is a little mini-series where he's actually taking on the entire coven of witches, however you say that.
Coven.
Yeah. So
nice.
Yeah, it's been a fun book. If you don't know who Eric Powell is, you need to read some comic books.
Hillbilly, man.
Yeah, Hillbilly. Or Goon is what he's really known for, but yeah.
I love Hillbilly.
Yeah. Yeah, that's why we're talking about it.
Yeah.
Why are you here, Caleb?
Yeah. I'm messing with you.
You know what you do.
He jerried.
I did.
Well, I don't want to be the standard for that. What you got for us next week, Caleb?
You're a verb. Be proud.
Oh, yeah, you got verb hard. But I'm going to edit it out so nobody knows what it is. I have the power. All right, so I'm going to read a book that is coming from a new publisher. This is coming out of Ahoy Comics. Have you guys heard of them? No. So their first book came out, I think, 2 weeks ago. It's called Wrong Earth. They're doing a really cool thing. It's this kind of, they're giving you a story, but they're also giving you a lot of back matter, interviews, all kinds of stuff. And so this book is called High Heaven, and it is by Tom Payer and Grant Morrison and Greg Scott. A couple of big names. So the kind of idea behind this book is chronic malcontent. David Weathers is the main character. He dies and goes to heaven where everything is terrible and everybody hates a complainer. And that's the problem. That's what High Heaven is. I'm looking forward to this. I think Ahoy is doing some really cool conceptual stuff, giving you a little bit more than what you are maybe used to from your other books. Wrong Earth was apparently really, really good. I'm also going to pick up Bone Parish number 3 from Cullen Bunn and Jonas Scharf. We talked about that a little bit. Right. Love Cullen Bunn. So that's one of the books I'm looking for.
Yeah, he's really good on Bone Parish.
He is. Yep. Have you read his book Bone Parish? It's super good.
No, for real. You've heard of Bone Parish.
Yeah, Bone Parish. He's really good on that.
I hear it's really good. It's also by Cullen Bunn.
Yeah, you haven't heard. Anybody named Eric Powell who writes a book.
This isn't even Jerry's fault.
So I guess I'll go ahead and do my book of the week since Sean doesn't want to.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. So
is it Hillbilly Meyer?
Doomsday Clock number 7. Finally, I'm gonna have to go back and reread the first 6 issues.
Yep.
Just to remember what the fuck Spider-Geddon 0 comes out this week. But the one that caught my eye was Man-Eaters number 1 by Image.
It's really good.
Yeah, it's Chelsea Kane, Kate Nimsick, Leah Maternick, and it's Eisner nominated and New York Times bestselling thriller. Writer Chelsea Kane returns to comics with a new ongoing series. Mutation in toxoplasmosis causes menstruating women to turn into ferocious killer wildcats, easily provoked and extremely dangerous. As panic spreads and paranoia takes root, the fate of the world rides on the shoulders of one 12-year-old girl. Part cat people, part The Handmaid's Tale, Man-Eaters will have everyone talking. So
it sounds like Ginger Snaps to me.
It kind of does, doesn't it? Because that was the one with the female werewolves.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So it sounds pretty great.
Instead of the moon cycle, it was.
Just the thought of it with like a young girl like having to stop this going on almost gives me a Silver Bullet vibe, sort of.
Yeah.
Almost. So
sounds very cool.
Yeah.
Well, I do in fact want to talk about my book next week. I'll let Jerry go because we were making
Hillbilly Meyer.
Have you heard of Cullen Bunn? No, my book for next week is actually
Craig, stop. Think of your heart.
The first annual from the new Domino series.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
It's going to be done by various writers and artists, as annuals typically have multiple stories in it. I'm just going to read off a quick description from Midtown Comics, where I always look at my previews. Tales Too Big for Domino's best-selling solo series. Nina Thurman's never worked alone. She keeps her friends close and her lovers closer. Shang-Chi. Finally revealed. The origin of Domino's posse. Also, we're going to get, is Colossus and Domino rekindled? Were they a thing?
I don't remember.
I think so. Actually, maybe. Yeah.
Apparently,
Wasn't aware of that one, but that's interesting. Cable takes a bath. Plus, Domino's not the only mutant wearing the X gene on her sleeve. Don't miss the first appearance of the Rejects. That's REJE capital X. I think we're going to get a debut of a new team or something. Parental advisory is what they're saying.
She's going to have sex with Shang-Chi finally.
But yeah, more Domino.
Somebody needs to.
I'm down for more Domino. This run has been phenomenal. I've thoroughly enjoyed it. So I can't wait to see more artists kind of working off what's already been done and writing and drawing what's happened. And of course, her cast of characters.
Yeah, Gail Simone and David Ballion, man, they're good on that series. They're a good combination.
You know who else is good?
Eric Powell and Colin Bunn went on the things that they write.
You ever heard of this guy, Jeff Lemire? He's pretty
good.
Yeah, he's very underground.
He is, but he doesn't write Eric Powell.
He doesn't write the Hillbilly.
Which is a book written by a guy named Hillbilly.
You can't edit it out now.
Nope. So, all right, guys, we ready to bring this thing home finally?
Yeah.
I think Jerry is especially.
Don't be like me. Pay attention to the things that Craig says because he's awesome. And what Craig will tell you to do is to head over to our Facebook, our Twitter, and our Instagram and join in the great conversations that we're having.
Shit, hold on. I have one more thing. I even wrote it on to say after my thing. Sean, John, Noel, and I recorded last Saturday. We actually did our unboxing for the Mysterious Package Company for the Adventure Zone. Sean's going to do some editing. We're going through all the puzzles right now. Sean, John, and I are going through all the puzzles. No, John, Noel, and I are going through the puzzles right now. We're almost done.
The first one.
Yeah. I was very proud of Sean because he was like, I'm not going to be any help at this. And he ended up solving the fuck out of the first one that we had. Like, he pretty much did all the work. But we'll probably try to record a thoughts on it and everything without spoiling too much of it because it's been super fun. So we'll try to get that out as soon. And I think Kayla would be very happy at me because I said all of our links and accounts and everything at the beginning of it. And, somehow did not butcher the shit out of it.
He did good.
I'm pretty excited to see how it turns out and how well Sean likes the editing and everything. So I'm excited about that.
I am proud of you. I'm also excited. It's really cool. Got some good YouTube content, which is another place that you can find us all doing things. I'm trying to segue as good as I can. I'm struggling.
It was a good try.
The struggle is real. So anyway, go on all those places. Don't be like me and check out the middle of the podcast and don't know what the fuck Craig is talking about. Send us an email at southernfriedgeekery@gmail.com if you have questions, comments, or concerns. Go to your local cons. Be awesome. Send Sean things to draw. Ask us questions. Come back for more next week and go forth and read some comics.
Hell yeah!